welcome in to Check the Mic. Merry Christmas week. Steve Palazzolo, Sam Monson. We're live. Oh, man, I didn't get the studio name right in front of me.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's back to normal, right? This is the alternate one?
I don't know.
The new billionaire, though, we decided in a little tete-a-tete.
Oh, it's right here.
Consulting with the billionaire. He agreed that the arena part of it was maybe a little off, and we can call it studio.
I kind of liked the arena.
I mean, look, the billionaire has made his determination. I said, look, it's up to you. You're the billionaire.
It's true, whatever he wants. But we're presented by FanDuel.
Yep.
We're dressed up for Christmas week. Mm-hmm. And we are live from the Bill Belichick is a fraud, Patrick Mahomes is overrated, and Sam Monson was wrong about Tom Brady studio.
Alternating on a show basis with the Antonio Cromartie studio and Part with Huggies.
Correct. Yeah. That would be the midweek show. If we were having one, we'll see what
this week.
We won't be in the studio this week. But that's our anonymous, nameless, faceless
billionaire.
Very generous billionaire.
We're also dressed up like idiots because it's Christmas.
I don't think I look like an idiot.
No?
I dress up like this a couple times a year.
You do?
In fact, Friday afternoon at the mall.
You were dressed that way.
And we'll have footage of that soon. Appreciate everybody on the charity drive. We got over our $2,500 goal, which led to me, look at this, hanging out with Santa at the mall. Full video soon to come. But that's just me and Santa hanging out at the mall. I gave Santa a high five, ate the elf spaghetti.
You did? You ate the elf spaghetti?
Look at my kids becoming famous over there.
Uh-huh.
So the kids came and hung out. Not embarrassed. They're not at the age where they're embarrassed by their oversized elf dad yet.
Right.
Which was nice.
Scout would want no part of that.
Yeah, I was surprised you didn't bring her. She would have, I'm sure she would have had a ball.
I was thinking of asking her if she wanted to go, but then she missed the bus and had to be collected from school that day, so I didn't think it wasn't an option.
She could have hung out with Elf.
I doubt very much whether she would have been interested in it. Having said that, I think she might have been entertained by seeing you dressed as Elf. But then she would have gotten bored and annoyed, so it wouldn't, Anyway.
Most people were somewhat entertained. We took some pictures and had a fun time. So we'll have a full video.
Yeah, which will be short enough. Like this is going to be a kind of short montage-y video rather than don't expect any kind of 15-minute long breakdown. Yeah. Oh, look, the cops.
I mean, TBD. Did we get in trouble? Who knows?
I like that guy because when I went up to talk to him, the first thing he asked was, "Am I tasing him?" You.
To what you immediately said, yes, please.
I was like, I'm not going to stop you. If you want to break out the taser, sure.
So, tune in soon. Let me, find out if I got tased as Elf at the mall.
Yeah, you don't see that very often.
So anyway, again, appreciate everybody on our little Christmas charity drive. Got over the 2,500, and we'll have more footage still to come. And then at the end of the episode here, we have a gift exchange. This is your present here. That's
I got
mine.
yours.
You always put a lot of thought into mine, so.
A bit of thought. Not a lot.
Okay. Same. A bit. A bit for you.
Yeah.
All right, man. We got a big slate to get through. You ready?
Yeah, a lot of games.
There were some big ones. Well, listen. Full disclosure, we're going to spend more time on some games than others.
Yeah.
Okay?
The Christmas show is going to be, if you're one of these people that gets upset because we don't spend too much time on your team that played a crappy game nobody cares about back on Saturday or whatever, might not be the show for you. But that's why we got gift exchanges and dressed as Elf and stuff.
Yeah. Be distracted.
We're giving you some things, not necessarily the thing you want.
There's a lot to talk about, though, in some big games. It all started Thursday night with a wild finish. The Seattle Seahawks 38, Los Angeles Rams 37. The Seahawks with an overtime walk-off win with a 2-point conversion.
This was apparently the first time ever that a game has been won in overtime on a 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
I would have assumed that's already happened. At some point, somebody would have gone for that. But no, this is the first time they've done it.
But there was no – the rules have only been around for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Where you would need to.
But still, I would have thought it's already
most of the time
now.
It's just a walk-off touchdown, and then the game is over because it was usually sudden death for 100 years of NFL football. But the Seahawks
good old days.
Get the win with just there's a lot to talk about here, and it happened days ago. But the Seahawks currently now 12-3. Rams fall to 11-4. Seahawks have the number 1 seed right now in the NFC, and it didn't look like it was going to happen.
At all, yeah. I haven't checked what my pick score is this week, but I'm just assuming it's terrible based off starting 0-3 and feeling like I got screwed with every single game. And this was the first one where it's like, because remember, the analysis of this game going into it, for me anyway, was the first game between these two teams, It was the first time, it was the first game in this run the Rams have had where anybody has slowed down their offense at all. And it was a 2-point game. It was extremely close. And the Rams won because Seattle turned the ball over like 5 times and still had a chance to win right at the death. And in my eyes, it's like, well, that sort of suggests to me that if Seattle can just turn the ball over less than 5 times, they're the better team. So my initial instinct was, well, therefore, the second time around, Seattle will have a version of that. I know maybe the kind of confounding factor was, well, what if the Rams just have Darnold's number and he's going to turn the ball over 5 times every time he plays them? But anyway, the more I thought about it, though, it's like, having said that, Darnold hasn't been playing that well recently, even outside of playing the Rams. And this Rams offense has been unstoppable. And actually, maybe the Rams will be the better team and kind of stomp them. And for a lot of the game, that's the way it felt like it was going. It's like, look, I've played that out well in my head. This is going exactly how I thought it would go. The Rams are, in fact, just the better team. Seattle's great defense is still not able to stop them. Puka Nacua is just phenomenal with the ball in his hands. He's so strong. He's able to make the plays. And the Rams are just going to win this game relatively comfortably. And then in the space of 4 minutes, that flipped on its ass. And somehow this became not just a game, but a game where Seattle ended up getting the win.
It was going to be a clean narrative game.
It really was. Perfect. It's like I would have been 1-0. I would have perfectly diagnosed the game going into it, and I would have felt great about myself. Instead, 4 minutes.
Full disclosure for you, because you are close in our picks race.
Was so much close. Almost certainly am not now.
You were close. Most of your week is you got to keep your head on straight and try to be the unbiased analyst and not lament how they the Seahawks screwed you over on your pick and then the Bears screwed you over on your pick. So we got to stay focused here.
We're basically becoming a court exhibit A for a class action lawsuit against gambling companies. It's like this is the slow slide into degeneracy that happens where we start off, it's like, this is just fun. I'm into the game more. And then it's like my entire life just becomes about how I've been screwed by this 4 minute run in this game. So it started with Rashid Shaheed returning a touchdown. A punt for a touchdown.
I want to talk about how that all went down in the fourth quarter. But leading up to that, I was saying it was a clean narrative game because the Rams' offense was outstanding.
They had 240 yards in the first half against the Seattle defense.
And there was a point where they were driving to score a touchdown, and I said they had the Rams, they had a touchdown taken off the board for an illegal man downfield, which should not have been called.
Correct. A bad call.
And Stafford missed an open throw. Puka Nacua finished with 225 yards on 12 catches and 2 touchdowns. Easily could have had a third touchdown for 40-plus yards. Stafford missed him. So I was saying, they were 2 plays away, plus this drive from going up 21-7. We're all watching it. It felt like the Rams are just dominating this game. Yeah. Dominating the Seahawks. And it was still close.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks took the lead, in the first half. But it was a dominant Rams effort early on.
And that's the thing. If you want to be critical of the Rams as opposed to sort of saying it was just weirdness from the other side that made it happen, you would say the Rams did leave an awful lot on the table in terms of shooting themselves in the foot and not taking advantage of being the better team for the majority of this game. They were 240 yards in the first half, but when Kenneth Walker has that huge run earlier in the third quarter, that gave Seattle the lead.
It's right, 55-yard touchdown, early Q3. That puts the Seahawks up 14-13.
And it's like this should have been, the Rams should be destroying them in this game, and yet somehow it's a close game with Seattle actually taking the lead here. Then you get, this awful Sam Darnold interception, almost a pick six, didn't quite get in, but a bad play. Admittedly, baited by the defense, but it looked like a terrible play on the broadcast. And it's like, it's starting again. Darnold's turning the ball over. And that kind of started the Rams really putting their foot on the gas and getting out to the lead that they should have had for the majority of the game overall. So it's weird. It's like, how much do you credit, Seattle for making the plays versus the Rams for not really putting their foot on the gas and getting out of sight?
So that play that you mentioned, that was where the narrative was getting clean, right? It's it's a third down, the Rams disguise man coverage.
Yeah.
Josh Wallace is just sitting there in the slot. Darnold doesn't see him. Interception return to the 1. The Rams score the touchdown, and it was a good back and forth battle. But again, the Rams were really moving the ball on offense. So they go up 23-14. They come back and they're up 30-14. And Stafford's throwing no-look touchdowns to Puka Nacua. Stafford's dealing. It's his MVP game. They're dominating. They're running the ball effectively against Seattle, and they're up 30-14, 2 scores in the fourth quarter. If Seattle's going to have a chance to win this game, they have to drive down and do something, right, Sam? Mm-hmm. And they drive all the way to the goal line, and then Darnold throws another interception. This is where, of course, the game is over. The Rams are going to win. Really nice disguise once again by the Rams. They go all-out blitz. They drop Kobe Turner into the passing lane. Darnold doesn't see him. He throws hot behind him. Kobe Turner with the pick right at the goal line, and it's like, they did it again. The Rams own Sam Darnold.
Yeah, it was a really interesting game for that specific narrative because if you looked at just the interceptions, you would be like, it's the same thing. It's happening again. Darnold's melting down. The Rams have his number. It's like, the perfect story. And yet, actually, it's really just those 2 plays. Now, obviously, those are 2 massively high leverage plays, which end up as 2 huge mistakes, which were extremely critical to the game, albeit didn't end up mattering in the end, given the final score. But it wasn't like the other games against the Rams and against the Lions last year, where Darnold made a mistake, made another mistake, kept digging, got worse, and basically melted down, like the quicksand analogy from The Replacements. Keanu Reeves in the meeting room. Quicksand, you keep digging, the more you struggle, the worse it gets, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't like that, and I think the other games had been. This was really just 2 bad plays where the Rams' disguise on defense, they got him. Like, they fooled him. The first one, as you said, they showed man coverage. It looked like man coverage. Darnold thought it was man coverage, and it wasn't. The guy in the slot was looking at his eyes the whole way and just jumped the route, just got in front of it and took it away from him. And it's like, okay, you misread it, but it's like, it's just a mistake. They beat me. They showed me something. They played something else. Bait and switch. I got it wrong. The second one, they showed overload blitz. Like in Darnold's vision, there's a wall of blue, right? The 6 guys are all coming, and one of them isn't. One of them's dropping out and drops right into the path of the throw where Darnold thinks he's got a hot route in behind, thinks he's scoring a touchdown. Darnold puts that in the air and thinks he's beaten the blitz and scored, and everything's great. And there's one guy that he hasn't accounted for dropping into that window and ends up picking it off. And the guy's a defensive tackle. So, again, it's like the defense just beat him. They showed him something. They played something else, and he made a mistake, and they beat him again. So the defense got him twice, badly. But outside of that, even under pressure, he played pretty well in this game. And then later in the game, delivered a whole bunch of really nice passes, like a couple of absolute dimes. So this was interesting because Darnold did make a couple of really bad mistakes, but I don't think this was like the other games where he has really dug himself a hole and dug deeper the more mistakes he's made.
So we have, just to go back, 30-14. It's a 16-point game in the fourth quarter. You have the Darnold interception, and it's like, all right, now that's definitely the end of the game.
Right.
But the Rams come back. They go 3 and out. They punt, and that's where it all changes.
Yes, that's the thing. It's like Rams punt the ball away, and then Shaheed goes 58 yards, punt return touchdown. They get the 2-point conversion to make it a 1-possession game. All of a sudden, this game that felt like it was dead is now a 1-possession game. Like, oh, that happened quick.
Where the Rams, again, the game flow-wise, it's important to kind of capture this, right? The Rams are on their way to eventually putting up over 500 yards of offense, and it feels like that. They've dominated most of the game, so they go 3 and out. Rashid Shaheed punt return. They get the 2, so it's 30-22.
And then immediately the Rams punt again. So they go and they have this run where they're unstoppable. They're scoring at will. They're moving the ball at will. And then they have this run late in the game where they have 3 consecutive punts. The first of which was returned for a touchdown to make it a 1-score game right off the bat. And you're like, okay, this is the problem with the NFL these days is no matter how good your offense is, if you get 2 straight 3 and outs, that can be a 16-point swing in the opposite direction if the other team is able to take advantage of it. And that's what happened in this game. A couple of consecutive punts, and suddenly we've got a ball game again.
And so the Seahawks
come
back.
Of the 2-point play.
Seahawks come back with a 2-play drive.
Yeah.
And say this about good offensive coaches. Clint Kubiak, great play call to get A.J. Barner open behind the defense. It's like, hey, we need some explosives. And you see coaches sometimes they're dialing up the explosives or at least the opportunities. A.J. Barner, touchdown. Now it's 30-28, and the Seahawks have to go for 2 once again. And then they run the same the same 2-point conversion that the Patriots ran against the Falcons to tie the game in the fourth quarter. And teams have been running this for over a decade since New England did this. They have, trips, and they motion a guy into the bunch and they throw the ball to the guy in the bunch with 2 receivers in front of him for a screen. This thing's been going on for 10 years, and the Rams are all over it. It gets batted, and it's incomplete. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Or
what
happened?
What happened is it got hit him in the helmet, right? It hit him in the helmet, bounces down, everyone basically stops playing. And then really the first indication of this, was it Terry McAuley?
Terry McAuley.
First indication
We're all here like, it's incomplete, and then Terry McAuley's like, wait a second, guys.
It's incomplete.
Terry McAuley comes up.
It's incomplete. Bummer for the Seahawks, great for the Rams, but everyone basically starts walking off and preparing for the kickoff. And then Terry McAuley is like, hold up, guys. If that was a backward pass, and it looks like it is, this is a good 2-point conversion because Zach Charbonnet picks the ball up. And not like dives on a loose ball, picks it up. Like just walks over to the ball, picks it up, and hands it to the official. And McAuley is like, if that's a lateral pass, that's a live ball, and it doesn't matter that the whistles went and everyone stopped playing, it's a good 2-point conversion. And the more they looked at it, they're like, I think that's lateral. It's at least level, and level is backwards in the NFL. And that's the way they end up calling it. And 2-point conversion stands. Everyone's like, what the hell? Suddenly the game's tied, and all bets are off.
So it's a tie game, 30-30, and Seattle has just scored 16 points in a matter of minutes. The Rams still have another opportunity.
Yeah.
And they actually go 3 and out again.
Seattle
goes 3 and out. And then the Rams drive down, have a game-winning field goal opportunity under 2 minutes with almost a minute left and miss it.
Yep.
And so the Rams, by the way, they fired their special teams coordinator since Thursday night.
All of their losses have involved some form of special teams collapse.
Yeah,
implosion,
which is why
bad play.
And look, this matters. Right? I think Mike Sando put out there the special teams EPA
But you very rarely see a team in the position they're in, playoff wins-wise, firing coaches this late in the season. Like that's a statement.
Yes. And Seattle's been on the other end of that. They've had one of the best, most efficient special teams units in the league, so they deserve credit. But the Rams missed the field goal to win it.
As well as the punt return touchdown.
Right? So that all happened in the matter of actual game minutes
in
the fourth quarter.
It's hard for me to blame the special teams coordinator for the kicker missing a kick, but the punt return touchdown thing. Like literally every single loss this season for the Rams has involved some form of cataclysmic special teams play.
After the Rashid Shaheed punt, the next punt, they were afraid of him, kick it out of bounds. And that affected field position as well with Seattle with the 2-play drive touchdown.
Could we take a beat? Because the weird thing about this game is it felt like the 2-point play was like the seismic swing play in the game, other than the punt return touchdown. And then there was a ton of time left on the clock, and still sort of nothing happened until we got to overtime.
Yeah.
Anyway, the 2-point thing. It was weird because what made it even stranger was the explanation. Because Terry McAuley got into this for like the entire weekend, arguing with people on Twitter, effectively, which is so bizarre because his explanation. The weird thing about a lot of the time when we're banging on about officials and weird calls and stuff, it's that they appear to have applied the rules in a strange way, right? We disagree with the call. This is a strange one where I don't know that anybody's disagreeing with the call itself, which appears to have been applied 100% according to the rules. The problem people have is the rules are quite obviously stupid in this case, because the rule, as Terry McAuley has explained to people on Twitter, is that although you think the whistle is important, the whistle is in fact an artificial construct. It's a figment of your imagination that is meaningless, unless somebody blows it by accident, in which case that changes everything. If you accidentally blow a whistle, the play is over and nothing that happens after that means anything, right? So, for example, if the ball is in the air and you're accidentally throwing a pick six, if the whistle blows by mistake while that ball is in the air, you keep the ball. If it happens after you've thrown the interception but before he scores, he doesn't score. So the whistle, if you blow it by mistake, can take points off the board. It can stop a turnover from happening, all those kinds of things. If the whistle happens by consciously, just if the whistle happens generally, it's in fact meaningless because the play ended sometime before that in the official's head. He just hasn't told you yet. So this was a bizarre situation where the 2-point fails, everybody stops playing, the whistle blows, but the whistle's meaningless.
But it was also an instant recovery, right?
Ish. So although you think the play is dead and the whistle has in fact blown to signify that, the whistle is meaningless in this situation. And Charbonnet walking over and picking up the football is in fact live. That's crazy. Like, that's absolute madness.
The other funny thing about this, if it was just called incomplete and everybody walked off the field, including the Seahawks,
yes,
no one's arguing about anything.
Nobody did argue.
Right?
This is, again, that we're in this ridiculous Twilight Zone world where nobody can actually be sure of anything that's happened on a sporting field until sometime after the fact when a guy in a room with slow-mo replay has checked it to make sure that's actually the case. What you saw and everybody was comfortable with is in fact what happened. Because once you start poring over the slow-mo replays, you find things. You find things that nobody's caring about or nobody's interested in or nobody was asking for. Nobody in the stadium thought that was a 2-point conversion play that was successful. And then Terry McAuley and whoever was actually operating the NFL's thing was like, hold up, guys. Wait a second. I actually think, technically, that's a 2-point play. And you're like, what?
I also wonder how much...
Does anybody want that as a thing?
I mean, Seahawks fans do right now. But I also think the fact that it's an island game, more eyes on it in New York too. It's not like if this is in the 1 o'clock window with 8 games going on at the same time, do they have even enough attention to go back and say, wait, is that backwards? So all of that goes down to make it 30-30, and we eventually go to overtime here. And then after all that, the Rams still come back. Puka Nacua, 50-plus yarder. Yeah. And Matthew Stafford, man, he played a great game. Now, did the offense disappear? It was a 41-yarder, but did the offense disappear a little bit down the stretch?
For a really critical stretch.
Absolutely.
That cost them the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. But like for the most, like Stafford hits Puka Nacua for a 41-yarder over the middle of the field.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up with almost 500 yards. I mean, yeah.
So Stafford goes 29-49 for 457, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Hits Puka Nacua for a 41-yard touchdown. Puka finishes with 225 yards through the air. The other interesting dynamic in overtime, Seattle won the toss and took the ball second, right? They decided we're going to kick. So the Rams go score the touchdown right off the bat. Why do you want to kick? Because now you get to match it and you get to go for 2
to choose
if you score the touchdown. So 37-30 in overtime. Stafford, after all of that, puts the bow on the MVP caliber game in prime time against the division rival. But that's where Sam Darnold, man, and you flips the narrative. A couple big throws, including an absolute dime to Cooper Kupp.
Beautiful play.
Who had a big fumble earlier in the game, by the way.
Huge play for him.
It's
toe tap sideline. Yeah, tap sideline play. It's a great catch and a great throw from those two. Huge in overtime. And I felt bad for Cooper Kupp because he fumbles the ball away in the first half. It's got to be like a huge, return game for him facing his old team. And he's responsible for one of the big critical turnovers that may cost him the game. And then he basically gets himself back in the plus column with that overtime play.
And then Darnold to Jackson Smith and Jigba, 4-yard touchdown to cap a 65-yard drive. Yeah. And then, of course, Seattle's going to go for 2, right? It's not really a decision. The reason why you go for 2, I mean, you kick in overtime is so you can go for 2, right? It's so you can go one play to win the game. You're never going to, kick the extra point and then give it back to the Rams and play a sudden death last possession. So they go for 2, and Sam Darnold hits Eric Saubert for the game-winning 2-point conversion, 38-37 Seahawks.
Yeah, and I think credit to them so at this point, like one of the reasons you hear that the 2-point conversion thing isn't as simple as the mathematicians would have you believe is that teams don't have that many 2-point plays, and you can't go that deep into the bag if you're going for 2 every play, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this was now their third 2-point attempt, all of which they got, albeit one of them only because replay has stupid rules. But like they were into their third 2-point play and still dug one out and found it.
And they lined up, and the Rams called a timeout to see the formation. They came out in a different formation, and I think after the fact, Mike McDonald said that they pulled one of their regular low red zone plays and went for it.
Yeah.
And so they go 3 for 3 on 2-point conversions.
But it's also why that argument probably isn't that great. It's like, yeah, you might have a limited number of 2-point plays. Having said that, there's an alternative. You could just go and pull out a regular red zone play and make it work.
Red zone plays. Right. You have a whole list of red zone plays that you have in your playbook that you've practiced and everything. So, really quick, we spent a lot of time in this game, but it's worth it. The Seahawks are the number 1 pick, and you and I'm number 1 seed. I'm going to misspeak. It happens. The important part that I think we talked about in the instant reaction the other night, as I sit here in my elf costume, did Sam Darnold, just the fact that there was a point where he had not thrown a touchdown yet, and he had thrown 6 interceptions with no touchdowns against the Rams just this season.
Right.
Just the fact that we got
factoring
to see
in
him.
What happened last year.
If the Rams had won this game, look, Seattle's a really good team, and Darnold's having an excellent season, and that offense is pretty good, and the defense is great. They could have seen each other again, but the fact that we've now seen Darnold make a fourth-quarter comeback and an overtime comeback and make some big-time throws and battle back from adversity during the regular season, how much does that help just his mental state and just the confidence going into this potential rematch in the playoffs?
That has to be huge for them psychologically. I mean, if they had lost this game, even if he'd looked solid outside of that, if they had lost this game off the back of 2 disastrous Sam Darnold interceptions, which only added to the first game, which only added to the 2 times he couldn't play particularly well against them last year, you would be like, Darnold cannot beat this team. Like, this is, if they face each other again in the playoffs, which is, a pretty good chance of happening, they can't win. It doesn't matter if they're the 1 seed or, if they have better seeding, if it's at home, whatever. They cannot beat the Rams. Instead, you're like, no, Darnold got over those interceptions. He was a big part of their comeback. He did get that monkey off his back, and now it's all bets are off in the postseason. That has to be massive psychologically. Like, the Rams know that we can get him. Even when he plays pretty well overall, we got him twice. We got 2 critical turnovers. So the Rams still feel okay about this. But the Seahawks are no longer scared of the Rams, which they may very well have been if this game had not successfully flipped.
So we're going to talk a lot about playoff implications and everything. There's still so much to be determined. But as of right now, the importance of this, Seahawks have the number 1 seed. Rams fall to number 5, even though they're 11-4. There's still a path for the Niners now to actually have the number 1 seed. There's a path for the Bears. Like, there's paths for a lot of different teams here. But obviously huge for the Seahawks now, a game up over the Bears for that number 1 seed.
Yeah, but unlike the AFC, most of the NFC is at least clinched a playoff spot. So the Seahawks are in, the Rams are in, the 49ers are in. All 3 of those NFC West teams are already clinched in the playoffs. The only thing left to determine is seeding from their point of view.
Man, so incredible game, incredible finish. It was all Thursday night on Prime. What a game.
On Prime.
And, Al missed a little bit of excitement on some of the calls. But
I swear I honestly believe it's just a vision problem. I feel like, can we get LASIK on the case or hook him up with some of those big milk bottle eyeglasses? If he just can't see?
What if he ate a couple carrots? If you mix in a couple carrots right now, what that would do for your eyesight?
Him and Puka are on team. That's apparently it's a myth. There's no vision, ocular benefit to carrots. It's just it's a lie that people told you to make you eat carrots.
Oh, and Al didn't bite.
No, Al knew.
Literally didn't bite.
The real edge in vision is in steaks. Ribeyes.
Yes.
Ribeyes will help you see in the dark.
Anyway, we good with that one?
We also, I should have sent it to Will, the Herbie montage of story time. Find you something you love as much as Herbie loves listening to Al tell stories about random games in the 1990s.
I mean,
Al's telling a story, and Herbie's just sitting beside him like,
Herb Street was calling a
he
different
looked like
game.
his own dog. Herbie looked like his own golden retriever, just sitting there like, As Al tells him a story about some random game back in 1985.
Had a long weekend with the college football playoff
Honestly,
and travel.
you
You got to kill some time with
I've never
Al's
seen
story time.
anybody as fixated on story time other than like a 4-year-old at the knee of a Santa Claus or whatever. It's ridiculous looking.
Then we went to Saturday.
We did.
Philadelphia Eagles 29, Washington Commanders 18. We'll spend a little bit less time on this one.
Yeah.
That's it. Eagles clinch the NFC East. So you talked about the NFC and how everyone's clinched at least a playoff spot except the NFC South. The Eagles are the only team to clinch the division so far. So Eagles move to 10-5. Commanders fall to 4-11. Eagles offense came to life a little bit. Jalen Hurts, man, a beautiful red zone touchdown to Dallas Goedert. Saquon Barkley with 132 yards on the ground. They got the run game going. And Marcus Mariota injured.
Yeah.
So we got to see Josh Johnson play. I mean, he is just like Mr. Random Saturday afternoon football, isn't he?
Josh Johnson played. So my favorite stat I saw with the Josh Johnson thing is he's now played against Jeremiah Trotter Sr. and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. during his career.
I thought you were going to pull out the stat that he has now played against the Eagles in 3 different decades.
No, that's also good.
So it was like 08, somewhere in the 2010s,
right,
and now in the 2020s.
Yeah. No, he's had a bizarre career. But he keeps on trucking. I love that Daniel Kelly from The Ringer had a tweet that's like, Josh Johnson has been signing for teams before you were born. He'll be signing for teams long after you were gone. And it's like, that tweet's like 8 years old.
Yeah,
that was
old.
from like a decade ago.
That was a while
and it's
ago.
still happening.
I say the Saturday afternoon thing because I think he started for the football team.
Probably.
Against the Washington football team. That was a team for 2 years.
He's also, by the way, he's played for
Tennessee or something.
Right, he's played for like half the NFL. He's also played for like a bunch of other random-ass leagues as well that shouldn't, that either don't exist or might not exist long. So, okay, this was a weird game where it felt a bit like, remember last year's Eagles? So this is the thing we forget about because we're sort of so focused on, well, the worst-case scenario is the collapse season where they just implode and, die off late in the year. Last year, for a lot of games, it was like the first half was kind of ropey, and then the second half, the dudes would take over. They'd keep leaning on you. They'd turn the screw, and then Saquon would go nuts late in the game with a couple of 60-yarders, and suddenly it's a 2 or 3 score game, and we kind of forget that the first half was pretty miserable.
Yeah.
This was like that, where it's like Washington led at the half, right? Like this was a close game. The first half, you were coming away being like, no, they didn't fix it. They did, in fact, just play the Raiders. Like, this is, they didn't get it right last week. It's like, but then the second half, as you said, Saquon took over, and it felt like that. Having said that, that also coincided with Mariota goes down, Josh Johnson is in, and it's like, with the greatest of respect to Josh and his career, that's probably not going to work.
And Josh might be the starter on Christmas, the Christmas Day slate of quarterbacks.
This is working out great for Christmas. Like
absolutely.
Everyone's sad at the quality of the games.
Not us.
Now,
Not if you work.
Yeah. Now it's like,
football.
This is exactly how it should be. We've got 3 Christmas games, and all of them might be terrible, which means it's great because there's football on at all times.
Yeah.
But you don't have to pay attention to any of it because it'll be terrible.
That's what Thanksgiving football is supposed to be. And
Yes.
Thanksgiving killed us with all these great games, and they were going down to the wire.
Thanksgiving has screwed it up from the moment Detroit got good. Now Thanksgiving is a problem. But Christmas, it turns out, is great now because there's going to be 3 games on, and they may all be awful.
Background noise. Max Brosmer and Josh Johnson.
Yeah.
Oladukin.
That's what Christmas should be. It's like
Christmas
terrible quarterbacks nobody wants to watch, which is still more interesting than the NBA, but not enough to pay attention to it for real.
Anyway, the Commanders were leading, and Eagles came back, made some big plays, man. A.J. Brown had 9 catches. I told you that Hurts throw. That might be the best throw I've seen him make all season. Like, he's thrown some, the one to Goddard. It was 3rd and goal from the 15. I feel like the last 3 weeks, 3rd and goal from the 15, that should never be a score. We've seen a bunch. Josh Allen had one last week. I think someone else had. Allen almost had another one yesterday that got dropped on 4th down. But 3rd and goal from the 15, and Hurts puts the ball up and away from coverage to Goddard. That was a huge throw, and maybe the best one for me that Hurts has made all season. And then finally getting some big plays from Saquon Barkley in the run game. Look, the Commanders are not a good football team. Eagles take care of business. I still think, hey, the last 2 weeks against the Raiders and the Commanders, have we learned anything about the Eagles? Yeah. I don't know. But they play Buffalo next week and then Washington once again. But they get the division wrapped up, and I think they're at least going to want to have, not momentum, but they want to be playing some pretty good football going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the last 2 weeks are at least steps in the right direction, even if it is the Raiders and Commanders.
They'll feel pretty good about themselves coming out of this game. It's just that, it was a close game up until the point where the third-string quarterback had to come in from Washington, and the third-string quarterback also throws a terrible interception. Like, it's a big part of the game swinging in the opposite direction. So it is like last week where it's like, look, did they get things back on track, or did they just play the Raiders? Did they get things back on track this week, or did they just luck into a third-string quarterback who threw them an interception, and then they started to turn the screw against what is a bad defense? I mean, it's not like, that part's not surprising.
Commanders ran the ball pretty well early on, too. Chris Rodriguez, 63 yards, and Bill Krosky Merritt with a nice touchdown early. But listen, the difference between – this is why the Eagles are in between the collapse of 23 and the Super Bowl of 24. The defense is still good. The collapse of 23 coincided with they looked like they were playing with 10 dudes on defense, right? It was – remember, like Kevin Byard's having this great season with the Bears, but remember he was like in and around every single coverage bust for Philadelphia in 2023. It's like, well, this guy's cooked. The whole scheme was cooked on defense, and there was just dudes running wide open in the secondary left and right. This Eagles team is different because even if the offense disappears, and they've done plenty of disappearing acts throughout the season, the defense, Vic Fangio, the pass rush, Cooper DeJean, the coverage unit, Quinyon Mitchell, like they are good on the back end. So that's what's going to be interesting about the Eagles. I think they're going to go in to the playoffs, depending on what happens with Buffalo. Like if they dominate Buffalo this week, and by the way, probably getting Jalen Carter and Lane Johnson back next week. If they win against Buffalo, you'll feel, Eagles fans really feel good going into the playoffs. Rest your starters against Washington the last week and go. But they're going to be, they might be slept on a little bit into playoff time. And then you just never know. Hurts played a better game, makes some nice throws. A.J. Brown, Goddard, Devontae Smith, those dudes, Saquon, they're still dudes, right? They could still take over even though they haven't at times this season.
They also left a lot of meat on the bone with Jake Elliott missing kicks all over the shop. So that, they should have been further ahead even when it was a close game, but Jake Elliott couldn't kick.
All right, Eagles take care of business in the Saturday afternoon slate. We good there?
Yep.
Then we get to Saturday night.
Yeah.
Another wild one in the NFC playoff picture. The Chicago Bears get the win. Another overtime one. 22-16 overtime win over the Green Bay Packers. The Bears move to 11-4. Packers drop to 9-5-1. So the Bears, they're now in control of the number 2 seed, and the Packers flip back to the number 7 seed. Again, if you were charting the seeding for the Bears and Packers, it's just massive, big zigzags going from 2 to 7 and 7 to 2. The Bears at 11-4 with a walk-off win. Caleb Williams to DJ Moore, 46-yard touchdown to win it for the Bears.
Yeah.
But we got to work backwards into how we got to this walk-off win for Chicago.
Amazing winning play. Like perfect pass from Caleb Williams. Perfect catch from DJ Moore. Like coverage all over him. Tight coverage. Physical coverage. Too physical? Who can say? All over him. Still drops the ball in. Makes the catch. Holds on through the ground. And DJ Moore had taken a fairly significant beating during the course of that game. So incredible game-winning play all around for the Bears. But yes, an absolutely insane game where Tom Brady and Kevin Burkhardt, is that who it is? They were like, this was a game the Bears had no business winning. I mean, this felt like the Packers had this game won, locked up, and suddenly it went away from them late in the game.
Another really good game for those guys on the call, by the way. I've said all season, I think Burkhardt especially has captured – they've had a lot of close, exciting games. I think he's captured the excitement in the moment, and Brady's analysis is improving and everything. So they feel like they're having a lot of fun watching football every week. So I thought they did a really nice job. Before we get to the end game sequence, which is pretty crucial, Jordan Love goes down with a concussion.
Yep.
Pretty early in the game. Malik Willis comes in again. Third time now in 2 years, Malik Willis has come in and plays outstanding in relief. I mean, it was a story for the game, but Malik Willis, nice 33-yard touchdown to Romeo Doubs, running when he needs to, plays a very efficient game. And I thought that the story coming out of this game was going to be Malik Willis, the Packers, the fact that...
And he's hurt, by the way, coming out of the game.
And he got popped just before overtime.
Green Bay may be down to QB3 for next week.
But I really thought that the story coming out of this game before the Bears, scored 10 points in 2 minutes was going to be about Malik Willis, was going to be about Matt LaFleur and how he has done a great job developing Malik Willis into one of the best backups. And every time he comes in, the offense doesn't really miss a beat. And Jordan Love's played some really good football this year, but the offense doesn't miss a beat. And it was mostly true in this game. They ran the ball effectively, creatively, Green Bay, but they just could not seal it at the end because of some of the late-game magic from Caleb Williams and the Bears.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, this is why you talk about possessions. It's a one-possession game. It's a two-possession game because it doesn't really matter. Like 16 points feels like a lot, and yet it's only really two possessions. Which can, if you get one onside kick, can happen very quickly in the NFL. That's the thing with all this, is that time plus possessions is really the mathematical equation you're working with at the end of a game to figure out how close we actually are to winning this thing. And while this game felt like it was very comfortable for Green Bay, it was only ever one onside kick away from immediately evaporating and becoming a problem. And that's what ended up happening. As improbable as the onside kick is, if you get it, all bets are off. And that's where we were. Like Green Bay, it felt like they may be in real trouble when Jordan Love goes down, gets hit early, like blasted in the face by Austin Booker, roughing the passer penalty, but he was hurt off the back of that.
That's a tough penalty, right? I mean, Love ducked his head just at the last second and ended up being.
That felt fairly clean to me in terms of throwing a flag and being like, you just can't hit him like that anymore. But anyway, he goes down. You're like, Green Bay's in trouble. But then, Malik Willis comes in, does it again, still looks good, and the Packers are still in business. And they'd gotten like Nashawn Wright does it again. I mean, all-pro player from the moment you wrote him off. Forced fumble, rips the ball out in the low red zone. That was Green Bay 6-3 up and driving. Gets a turnover instead of them putting extra points. Now the Bears go nowhere in the next drive, and then you get this Willis to Dobbs bomb, so it ends up kind of ending up the same anyway. It just delayed when Green Bay scored, but potentially a critical throw from him. Really it all came, like the Packers were the better team in this game for almost all of it. And then late in the game, the Bears get their touchdown, then get the onside kick. And that's the game in a nutshell. And it was like, they beat this Green Bay. Remember we talked before?
We got to discuss the end game sequence, though.
Remember we talked before about the weird irrationality of some Green Bay fans where they're like, the second anything bad happens, like, fire everybody. Is Matt LaFleur even any good at his job? They're like, yes, he is. Demonstrably so.
Yeah, and Malik Willis is one of the best examples of it.
But now it's, what does Rich Bisaccia even do here? Like, what is he presiding over this clown show of a special teams? What is even happening? You're like, Dobbs just couldn't field a kick. Like, what are we talking about? Like, they've set up in the exact way you're supposed to set up. The ball goes right to him, right? And Dobbs can't field it. It's like, it's exactly the way it's drawn up by a special teams coordinator. This guy is the guy designed to field this ball. That's why he's Romeo Dobbs, arguably your best receiver, the best hands. And the ball bounces up, it kicks up just in front of him, and he can't field it, and the Bears get on top of it. And Green Bay fans' reaction is, fire Rich Bisaccia. Like, what?
It's very like college fan base, like where the college fan base is a lot more tied to
results,
blaming the coach, and the position coach they want to blame every position coach or the strength coach. Like if the guys fire the strength coach, boys got tired in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Green Bay's got some of that feel with their fan base.
It's
sometimes.
Like, sure, if
because they're all owners,
right? If you, that's the problem. If you can point to a list of a series of systemic breakdowns in a specific unit and say like this is clearly a pattern of a problem, but if you're like this one guy made a mistake on a play that was otherwise schematically drawn up correctly, I mean that's not a coaching fireable problem. That's one guy made an error.
So I want to back up to like how we got here. It's 16-6, and just to put a bow on the Malik Willis thing, I thought he played great most of the game, and I really thought coming out of that, again, not only would the story be Malik Willis, but then if you do want to fire Matt LaFleur, I think there is something to the fact that
and why wouldn't you?
The two MVP caliber seasons, he rejuvenated Aaron Rodgers' career for two MVP seasons. Rodgers has not played anything close to that statistically since that point. He developed Jordan Love, who was a raw first-round prospect, developed him into one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. developed Malik Willis, who had a game where he completed like 4 passes at one point.
Malik Willis looked like he didn't belong in the NFL.
Looked like he had no chance,
Not
right?
even playing, but did not belong on a roster.
And now he's sitting back, making quick decisions, using his legs when he needs to, some creativity in the run game. Like, Matt LaFleur has been unreal with the quarterbacks in Green Bay and that offense overall over these last few years. Now, if you want to talk late game management and everything and how this all happened, fine. There's some stuff here. But anyway, the Bears are driving at 16-6. They only have 2 timeouts, and this is crucial. They're driving, and again, we're Brady and I think Romo and like former quarterbacks like Greg Olson's really good at this too, really good at telling you the time management thing. And the Bears line up for a field goal. They want to save their timeout. They run out for a field goal to bring it within 7. And Cairo Santos comes out, and they really want to kick this thing so that it goes through the uprights before the 2-minute warning. And they do not do that. And I thought this was an absolute crucial error that was going to kill the Bears and destroy their comeback attempt. Mm-hmm. Clearly, I was wrong later because of the onside kick. But this is what happened. They go out there, they kick the extra point, and it goes through the uprights, 2-minute warning. So you lost a timeout because you're probably going to kick it deep. If you had all 3 timeouts, you could force a 3-and-out from Green Bay, and then you'll get the ball back with like a minute 45 left to go try to score a game-tying touchdown. Because it goes through the uprights, they lost. Had they kicked it deep, they would have lost about 40 seconds of time. So then you would have said maybe you get the ball back with like 115, 120, maybe 110, and then you got to drive the field, try to score a game-tying touchdown with no timeouts. So they said, we'll go onside kick. And apparently after the game, because it was so windy, Santos said, I want to take my time and whatever. I mean, it ended up working out for the Bears, but I thought it could have been a crucial error that cost them 40 seconds of time in the comeback. They kick the extra point, then they get the onside kick that Romeo Doubs muffs. And that place was electric, man. That crowd was incredible. I do like when a fan base that has not won in a while, like when Detroit started to show some life, like seeing Chicago fans and everything, showing some life was awesome.
Poor downtrodden Patriots fans.
I mean, it's been a rough couple of years.
Finally getting a break.
Gillette was rocking a few weeks ago because they're excited again.
Yeah.
And then we get to Caleb Williams. So they have a game-tying drive opportunity. Caleb Williams hits a big deep in to DJ Moore.
This is the thing. It's not just everyone sort of focuses on that last play in overtime. It's like, but Caleb Williams was dealing late in the game to bring them on these drives.
I love watching him
and that
these
touchdown,
late games, like with games on the line. I do love watching him.
That touchdown pass to what's the guy's name?
Jahdae Walker.
Yeah, Jahdae Walker, the rookie. In the corner of the end zone under pressure, albeit, kind of busted coverage, but still, like, that was a really nice pass.
But the pressure got there. So that was the thing, right? We talked about the synergy between the Seahawks and Rams games. How about Packers-Bears? 2 times in 3 weeks now, coming down to a 4th down play with the Bears down 7.
Right.
And 2 weeks ago, it was 4th and 1 in the red zone, and Caleb Williams throws an interception. Mm-hmm. Then we have 4th and 4.
On a play that was there to be made. Like that, it was open. It was the touchdown could have happened on that play, and instead, like, it was an execution problem rather than anything else.
So it comes down to Packers are up 7, 4th down, and on the 3rd down play, the blitz got there. And they looked like, hey, we're going to put pressure on Caleb Williams. We're going to force him to make a quick throw. The pressure got there again. They dropped out a little bit. They didn't drop out enough, though. So it was a busted coverage, but Caleb Williams does a great job because he was under immediate pressure against the blitz, buys some time, throws it up. Jahdae Walker, is that his first NFL catch? Incredible catch and toe tap to just make sure that he caught it, and Bears are down 1. And then they decide to kick the extra point.
Were you surprised by that?
So I wasn't because of the Malik Willis factor. I do wonder because when this happened a couple weeks ago, and it was in Green Bay, we thought that if they had scored a touchdown, the Bears, they would have gone for 2 for the win. Yeah. And I don't know. I think the home road thing might affect it a little bit, right? Because you do have a little home field advantage, so maybe you're more likely to play for overtime. But I think if Jordan Love was playing quarterback for the Packers, you try to end it with 1 play. And nothing against Malik Willis. I thought he was playing great. But I think that was probably part of the decision. But I don't know, the go for 2 versus play for overtime at that point, it's like, it really is like a vibes decision. I don't think there's like a strong analytical play either way.
I wonder what the good doctor would say about, obviously he's not listening to this part because presumably he only listens to the Panthers sections of the 9-hour shows. But I wonder if it changes, because it was 17 seconds when Green Bay took over after this, right? After this decision. So 17 seconds on the clock, and they end up basically ending the regulation with a sack, so done. But if it's 17 seconds and you have to, you have to move because you're point down, right? 17 seconds and it's a tie game. No matter what happens, basically, if it's a non very good play to begin with, you're probably bailing, right, and just going to overtime.
Yeah.
But if it's 17 seconds and you need points because you're down, you have to keep going, does that actually change the math on whether they can score at the end of this thing? Are you, by kicking and forcing them to therefore play every single play of those 17 seconds out, you're changing the math on how likely it is that you even make it to overtime?
Yeah, that they kick it, that they throw.
I wonder if that changes the math on this thing, because it was just enough time left on the clock for that to be a factor. Because again, in this world of kicking from the moon, even in Chicago in the wind, it's do you want to motivate them to use every ounce of those 17 seconds to try and win this game versus just taking it to overtime where you think you're a better team because Malik Willis versus Caleb Williams? I don't know. I'm always in a situation where, to me, even with 17 seconds left on the clock, and it was more than that because it was 24 at the kickoff or whatever, even with that amount of time left on the clock, I'm give me one play to take the lead with very little time left on the clock.
Conversely, I would say, or maybe in addition to what you're saying, the fact that it was so windy might make it more likely that you say, well, I'm not risking the extra point in a swirling wind. I don't want to kick the extra point.
It's A, I don't want to kick the extra point, and B, they're less likely to hit one from 55.
Exactly, right. So so the weather, if you were going to factor that in, it might make you more likely to go for the two. But the Bears choose to kick the extra point. It's 16-16. They go to overtime. And then once again, Bears win the toss, right? Didn't they win it and decided to kick? So I think they chose to kick.
I can tell you now in a second.
Green Bay.
Chicago wins the toss, elects to kick.
And elects to kick. So just like Seattle, so the 1 and 2 seeds in the NFC, both won a game in overtime this weekend, both choosing to kick after winning the toss. And by the way, high level, I know Packers fans, I said this a couple times here. This was like you combined the Seattle part and the Packers part of the 2014 NFC Championship with Russell Wilson threw, was it 5 picks or 4 picks or whatever it was? It was like that game combined between Seattle's ridiculous comeback Thursday night and the Packers, kind of blowing it here on Saturday night. It was like the 2014 NFC Championship revisited.
Of course.
And I was joking about this before we saw the final throw, which was exactly what Russell Wilson did to send Seattle to the Super Bowl. Anyway, the Packers drive down in overtime after getting the ball. 2 key plays here, Sam. And we highlighted this. We had to go live Saturday night, instant reaction. 3rd and 1, Malik Willis out in space.
And this is, so by the way, the sack to end regulation hurt Malik Willis. This is what we're talking about.
He got spiked right on the collarbone, it looked like.
So
right?
he's a doubt now for this next game, but he's hurt off the final sack in regulation. So Sweat gets a sack, ends the game in regulation. We're going to overtime, and then it's that sack hurt him. Malik Willis is not, he's dealing with something now. So suddenly your backup quarterback is now going out there in overtime with the ball right away, gutting it out through whatever he's dealing with, which is a bad enough injury that it's potentially going to keep him out for this week. They then start moving the ball. You're like, oh, this is going well. There's a beautiful pass from Malik Willis to Jaden Reed. And then, a 3-play sequence, really. Random first down. Then it's 2nd and 7. They get just a quick pass to Dontavian Wicks. He only gets 6 of the 7. So now you're 3rd and 1. Then you get this amazing TJ Edwards tackle on Malik Willis, where, by the way, you're injured quarterback, and then give him a quarterback sweep or whatever. But if they showed a replay of this play where from the sky cam and the spider cam, sky cam, whatever we're calling that thing, at the moment where Malik Willis puts his foot in the ground and cuts to go north-south, you're like, easy first down. I mean, he's picking no problem. He's so one-on-one.
Yeah.
He's an athletic quarterback, one-on-one with TJ Edwards in a ton of space with space either side of him. And TJ Edwards, with the greatest will in the world, is not the most athletic linebacker in the world. That's why he wasn't, a first-round draft pick or whatever. And you're like, easy. And instead, TJ Edwards plays it absolutely beautifully. Like, does not let him get either side of him, makes a perfect form tackle, stops him dead, and brings up 4th down. Like, that is an incredible defensive play against a guy where, again, if you froze it at the moment where he cuts, I'm like, I would bet a large sum of money on Malik Willis picking up 1 yard on this play.
And for those who are new to the show here, TJ Edwards has just been a fascinating player for us for 6 or 7 years now because we both loved him as a football player. You in particular, coming out of college, I think he went undrafted, right?
Yep.
And because he had terrible workout numbers. And we're like, this dude's just a good football player. And whether it was the Eagles, the Bears, like he's just been a good football player. So when we say he's unathletic in space, it's like, yeah, based off testing 7 years ago or whatever, he went undrafted because his workout numbers were so bad. But he's always just been a very good, effective football player. And in space against Malik Willis makes potentially a game-saving tackle to make it 4th and 1. And then on the next play, 4th and 1, Packers muff the snap. They're out of field goal range.
Yep.
They just drop the snap, turn it over to the Bears.
Brutal. So, yeah, this is, the 3rd down play. It's just a great play by TJ Edwards. But you're like, it's okay. 4th and 1, they'll pick that up and they'll keep going. And then they just botch the snap. And it's like, that's it. Like, that's the problem with 4th and 4th down is that you can't screw anything up. You've got to actually make that play, and they don't. They screw it up, and suddenly Chicago now has the ball on their own 36-yard line, and they just need points of any description because that was Green Bay's possession, and now we're sudden death. So Chicago just needs to score at all, and game's over. So brutal. A great play from TJ Edwards to stop 3rd down and bring up 4th down, and then just a brutal self-sabotage, shooting yourself in the foot moment from Green Bay to screw up the snap and turn the ball over.
Bears come back with nice run from DeAndre Swift on 2nd down, then 3rd down, straight up handoff to Kyle Monangai for 11. Power run on 3rd and 3.
Disrespectful run?
I think I cut the disrespectful run cut off at like 5 yards.
5?
Yeah. So 3rd and 3, it was like a fringe disrespectful run because it wasn't a draw. There was no trickeration. It's just normal run concept from the gun. Borderline disrespectful run from Ben Johnson, who is Mr. Disrespectful Run. And Monangai goes for 11, and then it's like, all right, Bears are at the Green Bay 46. You're almost in field goal range, and they say, nope, we're going
the bomb
for the shot here. Caleb Williams to DJ Moore, 46-yarder. And what you mentioned about DJ Moore, Brady in the broadcast was highlighting the entire 2-minute drill at the end of the 4th quarter. They're going, hurry up. They're going, hurry up. Brady did a good job highlighting.
That's
the
right.
Defense is getting tired.
He got
flagged,
watch
DJ Moore. DJ Moore didn't even get set up on one play during the 2-minute drill in the 4th quarter because he was so exhausted.
He got flagged. Was it like
he got flagged?
It was illegal formation because he was just too tired to set himself.
I think the play clock was running down, but he wasn't set for an entire second. DJ Moore could barely even move. He looked exhausted, but they ran him 46 for the 46-yarder, and Caleb Williams put it right on him. Incredible walk-off touchdown for the Bears. What a moment for the Bears.
Particularly when you factor in, they just needed the field goal.
Yeah.
Instead, they're like, no, we're going for everything. And
drama.
An absolute beautiful pass,
drop.
Beautiful catch. Perfect play.
And as producer Will reminds us here, the Bears held the Packers to 0 touchdowns on 5 red zone possessions. So that'll be the story of the game, as well as Caleb Williams. Look, he didn't play a clean game for 3.5 quarters. But in the 4th quarter, some big-time throws. I just love watching him in crunch time. And he threw a pick against the Packers just 2 weeks ago.
Right.
But he made some huge plays against the Eagles on the Black Friday game. He had the dagger throw there. Couple big throws here, the dig route to DJ Moore, and then the walk-off to DJ Moore here. Caleb Williams, in crunch time, has made some huge plays for the Bears the last month or so.
Yes, and in a game like this, he's just, when you get into these situations late in the game and it's like it's all on the quarterback making it happen, his unique skill set is so difficult to stop. And it's where as Green Bay, it's where you miss a guy like Micah Parsons, right? Like someone who has the athleticism to actually run down a Caleb Williams or at least run with him. When he broke contain against Green Bay, it's like, there guys just like Rashawn Gary. There was a play that somebody highlighted where he just loses contain and then is just jogging as Caleb Williams runs past them all for, yardage. Like, this was where you really missed Micah Parsons, was in those situations late in the game where Caleb's able to break contain, and then he's just faster than everyone running him down. That would not be the case with Micah Parsons, but it is without him.
So the Bears, we still have a couple fun games for them. 49ers on Sunday Night Football next week in a battle, 2 playoff teams. And then they have the Lions the last week of the season, but the Bears are sitting there with the number 2 seed in the NFL, behind the Seahawks, both coming off their overtime wins against division rivals this weekend. What a start to the weekend there. All right, we've got all of the Sunday slate to get through. But first, quick break to talk about today's sponsor, IM8. It's hard to keep up with every NFL game. We lose track of sleep. We go live right now at 7 a.m. on a Monday. It's hard to keep those energy levels up, but that's where IM8's daily ultimate essentials come in. It's a daily all-in-one wellness drink that gives my body the support it needs without juggling a bunch of different supplements. Co-founded by David Beckham and crafted with insight from experts at Mayo Clinic, Cedars-Sinai, and a former NASA chief scientist, it simplifies your wellness routine and makes it easier to support your health. This drink is loaded with 92 nutrient-rich ingredients and is designed to help you feel good from the inside out. What makes IM8 stand out is how it combines science with nature. So they use effective ingredients and back them with research. Plus, it's been through clinical trials where 95% of participants felt more energetic and 85% said their digestion improved. It's vegan, it's gluten-free, it's non-GMO, it's also NSF certified, which means all the ingredients are third-party tested for purity. You can feel confident about what you're putting into your body, making it a solid choice if you're focused on your health. So IM8, we got it on the desk right here. I'm saving mine for the trip today. I'm taking a little overnight trip with the family for Christmas. So while I'm driving, a little extra focus and attention with my IM8, which most of my supplies almost gone now because my wife loves it before workouts and everything, so she's been enjoying it as well. And you too can feel your best self every day with IM8. Go to im8health.com/CTM. Use code CTM for a free welcome kit, 5 free travel sachets, plus 10% off your order. That's IM8HEALTH.com/CTM, code CTM for a free welcome kit, 5 free travel sachets, plus 10% off your order. im8health.com/CTM, code CTM. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All right, Sunday slate. Going through these games. Buffalo Bills get the win 23-20 over the Cleveland Browns. Bills move to 11-4. Browns fall to 3-12. A little different from previous Bills games where it wasn't all second half. They were up 20-10 in the first half and hold on to win 23-20. Couldn't really get the dagger in the second half. They couldn't really get that final dropped touchdown by Dawson Knox on a 4th down, but they still hold on for the win.
That was an awful play. Allen he couldn't have put it in his hands any better. And on a 4th down, Dawson Knox drops in the end zone. That gave the Browns a chance to complete the comeback and actually stay alive, and they weren't able to do it. But that was a huge high leverage play that could have been incredibly costly and wasn't.
It was a weird one because they ran the ball so well early on. James Cook, 16 carries for 117 yards, 2 touchdowns, some awesome runs in there. And then Josh Allen just goes 12 of 19 for $130. No touchdowns because of that drop. Lost 35 yards on sacks because of retreating on that one. Where Myles Garrett did they give half sacks for that?
They apparently went back and for some reason awarded Myles Garrett half a sack on that play. They're like they called it the correct way to begin with, and then somehow adjusted it in his favor to give him half sack.
With him and Alex Wright, not Mason Graham, because Mason Graham was the first one to touch him, wasn't it?
They split it with Alex Wright.
I see Alex Wright and Myles Garrett with half sack each.
I don't know how you get to that, but yeah, okay. Apparently, they went back and adjusted it that way. I said there's no more fitting tribute if Myles Garrett does in fact break the sack record than that being part of it. Like Michael Strahan and the Favre thing. Somebody said it like T.J. Watt's record part of it as well. There's some weird play where they went back and awarded him half a sack 6 weeks later or something. So every one of these seasons has some ridiculous number in there.
Watt had one where he was 5 yards away from a sliding quarterback who was a half a yard behind.
Yeah, but I think somebody said in his record-breaking season, or tying season rather, his somewhere in that involves a play where 6 weeks later they went and awarded him the stat adjustment thing.
For those who didn't see the play, again, it's just reason 8,000 why. The sack
Josh Allen takes leave of his senses, and at one point you can freeze the frame where he is running directly towards his own end zone, sprinting away from Myles Garrett and Alex Wright, who are chasing him down.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the way it's supposed to be drawn up, Josh, and then realizes, oh, this is my own end zone here, tries to kind of spin back around, falls over, and like just leaves the ball hanging out over the goal line so it's not a safety. Meanwhile, every other Browns defender like falls over as well, and they're all like crawling to try and be the first one to touch him down to get the sack.
That's, again, like reason 8,000 why the sack stat is a silly way to evaluate pass rushers, because he kind of like turned toward Garrett, and that's what made him fall over. Like Garrett was the closest guy when Allen fell over. And then everyone's, as you mentioned, crawling to touch him first so that they get the sack, and somehow that didn't matter because I think Mason Graham touched him first. I have no idea. Yeah. Anyway, Garrett's still awesome, even though he wasn't as great.
So that's how they've done it, is they've decided the touching down part didn't matter. Because the logic they gave for why that wasn't a safety is when he fell his ass over, he gave himself up. So what they've said is it's the two guys that were chasing him that caused him to fall over that deserve half a sack on the play.
Right.
So Josh Allen losing his footing gets Myles Garrett half a sack, which may break him the record. It's such a dumbass stat.
Meanwhile, in 2 hours, we're going to talk about the Jags. I'm going to talk about how Trayvon Walker's rushing the passer better than ever, and it's got like 3 sacks this year.
But by the way, other than that one play where Josh Allen like lost his mind and cost himself almost a safety, like he's got that play to Dawson Knox, which is a beautiful play on 4th down that should have been a touchdown. He's got a dime that he hit where Brandon Cooks dropped the ball that looked like it was going to be a critical play as well. Like his stat line is looking pretty terrible, 12-19 for 130, but there's multiple big plays in there that his receivers did not make.
He had one to Kincaid as well, right along the sideline, where he just couldn't keep his feet in bounds. I think
because of the backwards foot rule.
That's what. Yeah, right. Which you're always very aware of.
Yeah.
Browns came out smoking too, by the way. Shedeur Sanders, 5 of 5, nice touchdown to
Harold Fannin. He was getting successes like the Shedeur to Harold Fannin connection. Still good.
Yeah. So Fannin with the touchdown early. So the Browns look good early. Shedeur finishes with 2 interceptions, both kind of unlucky. First off, Quinshon Judkins' hands bounces up for an interception, and then a batted pass by Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
Tipped up for a pick. Neither one, I mean, you could call them like either a bad decision trying to throw the ball over Bosa, or one that was like, oh, it's on the wrong shoulder for Judkins.
Yeah.
But like
they
weren't great accurate passes. The end result should not have been interception.
Yeah. They were both plays where Shedeur's part of it was a factor, but was not the determining factor. The second one I would be more critical of the first one.
Yeah.
Like the first one is it's a proper like Rorschach test of like, do you think Shedeur Sanders is God or not? The people that do think he is like, well, that's a perfect pass right in the hands of Quinshon Judkins, and he throws it away. And the other people are like, I mean, that's on the wrong shoulder. Like that's a problem for a running back when it's a fast pass coming at him and it's not where he needs it. That's at least part of your fault. And I think the truth is obviously somewhere in the middle. It's like, yeah, it's literally on its back shoulder, right? Like he's running that angle route. He's running this way. The ball's here. It should be over here. And like that's not good. It's bad ball location, but he should catch it. Like that's part of your gig. You need to catch that ball, and instead it's an interception. The second one was like, you're under pressure the whole way. You know that guy's right in front of you, and he did nothing to try and, arm angle didn't change, didn't try and loft it over him, didn't just threw it. And you're like, I mean, come on, you need to do something to show me that you've at least recognized that there's a large human right in the path of where you want to throw the ball who can pick it off. And it ends up getting batted. So yeah, like minor mistakes that ended up being major problems.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like you could say wrong shoulder on the pass, but that usually leads to like a little bit less yak.
Yeah.
And or maybe a drop that falls incomplete, and you say, yeah, you got to put it out in front. It shouldn't equal one of his interceptions.
I can't tell anymore if that makes me a Shedeur Glazer, or I'm lost as to where I am with that.
There's nowhere in the middle.
No.
I mean, I would say all of Shedeur Sanders' performance has been like dead smack in the middle. Everything about it has
but it's what you choose to focus on.
49 yards rushing.
Yeah, it's what you choose to focus on. If you say a thing was a good thing, it's like you'd love him. By the way, it's worth watching every single week. Go and read.
Don't bring it up.
Josina
Don't bring
Anderson.
it up.
Go and read her Twitter.
Don't bring it up.
Go and read her Twitter. after every Shedeur Sanders game. It is remarkable. It is one of the craziest things.
What's her end game?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Or what is she in? What is she in the middle of?
Somebody tweeted yesterday. It's like, I don't defend my husband this hard. Like, what is happening? Like, this is one of the most ludicrous things I've ever seen in my life.
It's so true. And it's just like, it's not even like in response to anything.
No,
it's like, I know someone's going to be critical of this pass. So let me just make sure you know this is a drop. Let me make sure you know this.
It's just like watching, Russian state television commentate. I say, what is this? This is one of the craziest.
Let me just get ahead of this before the narrative gets out of control. Shedeur Sanders is not at fault for anything.
One of the craziest propaganda streams for anything I've ever seen in my life for no reason. Like, no possible connection.
Including since the preseason, like tearing down Jackson
Dart. Of course, yeah.
As well.
And then my favorite one yesterday was just like, here's a clip of Dion in the stands watching his son. And then she's like, will he get consideration to coach in the NFL sooner rather than later? Dion coming off like a miserable season in Colorado. You're like, what? Why? Why even ask the question?
He's done all he can at Colorado.
Meanwhile, right? I mean, normally I would be like, look, Twitter, it's a everyone's out there with their own opinion, whatever, it doesn't mean anything. And yet she's one of the very few people out there who like leads off with journalist. You're like, is this journalism? I mean, is it? I remember I am a master
as a master of journalism.
I have an actual master's degree in international journalism.
Would you say she's practicing proper journalism here?
I would say there were things that we were taught in the lecture theater that this runs contrary to. This is not how we were taught to journalist.
Do you think the 3-win college coach is ready for the NFL?
How
many wins did Colorado
This
have
is not how we were taught to do it, is what I would say. Now, look, she's an award-winning, nominated journalism thing. She's got
like we have awards?
Emmy/NABJ awarded journalist. So award-winning journalist. So, I mean, she has better qualifications than I do. I am a mere master of journalism. I don't have an award for journalism. However, I do remember those lectures, and there were things that we were taught that that's not how you do it,
The Dion NFL coach. I mean, he did a good job bringing Travis Hunter and Shedeur in there and being competitive with an otherwise awful roster.
I mean, look, there's recruiting's a thing in the NFL too.
Oh yeah. I mean, do you think Dion's ready for the NFL? She's been pushing this Bill Belichick narrative as well, including in Cleveland. Like Belichick, she's been pushing that 2 NFL teams are real interested in Belichick, at least going to kick the tires.
You know what?
One of them might be Cleveland.
The last 12
she's
months.
trying to get because she's also because she's on some like dark web of like Shedeur Love or something like that, where I'm sure there's some sort of place where it's all Stefanski's fault.
Oh yeah.
So she's pushing Belichick. Bill's going to make him into the next Brady or something. She's got a whole.
Remember, Stefanski wasn't. She's
in her own multiverse of Cleveland Browns futures here.
Remember, Stefanski's been calling the bad plays for Shedeur.
Oh yeah. Even though Dylan Gabriel came in and got sacked on his only drop.
Right, immediately, yeah. If there's one thing that the last 12 months has made me do, it's reassess the suitability for Bill Belichick to be an NFL head coach, It's like, I didn't think he was the guy last year, but now having seen him work at North Carolina, I'm in.
Her and Dion are like equivalent college coaches right now. She's like, got to get these guys in the NFL. They're ready. I think Bill's ready. A year in the ACC helped him get back on track. He's ready to get back.
It's just a fascinating agenda. I urge people to read it. It's as long as you take it for what it is, which I assume at this point is satire rather than legitimate down the line journalism. It's hilarious.
We had to discuss some of it. You're right. You're right. To give the Bills proper credit here, even though the offense let them down a little bit in the second half, a couple big plays in there. Greg Rousseau, 4th and 2. Shedeur takes a sack, but it was Rousseau just wrecks Cam Robinson, runs right through him.
Their defense gave up a lot, but late in the game, they really did make the plays. They had that 4th and 2, and then that final drive where it's like Dawson Knox drops it, Shedeur's got the ball. You're like, oh, this is Josina's Twitter's about to go to the moon if this happens. Then you're like, the Bills just wrecked shop on that drive. Like they got the first down play, there were like 3 different guys through the line at Shedeur almost immediately as soon as he hit the top of his drop back, plays dead on arrival. The next play, there's only one guy through, but he's through like right in the middle, screwing up the play. Shedeur takes a loss, and you're like, nah, it's like 3rd and a mile. They've got no shot, and then it's 4th and a mile. That one was interesting. Somebody asked, was it Dan Hansis from Heed the Call was asking this question? Like, I'm really curious what the model would have said about they punted. but it was like 4th and 32 from like your own foot, like your
yeah.
your own goal line. I'm like, I'm genuinely curious what the model would say. Do you go for 4th and 32, or do you punt it because there's just no way.
There's zero
Or
there's not a lot of 4th and 32s from the 1 and the
door number 3. Do you take the intentional safety and take the more room to bury your free kick?
That's probably more likely, actually.
Yeah.
Especially down 3.
Again, this is the second time in the show. I need the doctor to tell me what the numbers would say.
Oh, man, hopefully he'll call in.
There's no way he's listening now.
No, there's no chance.
But if the doctor is listening, 2 requests, sir, whatever the first one was. And then now, what did the number say about 4th and 32 from your own 1 foot line with like 90 seconds left?
All right, so the Bills with the win, 11-4, tied with the Chargers. This is going to be an interesting finish in the AFC across the board because they're technically the 6th seed. There's still, if the New England loses the next 2 games against the Jets and Dolphins, the Bills could win out and also win the division.
Yeah,
but
up until last night, I don't know how much the Patriots winning or changed things, but there were 6 different teams that were still alive for the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Oh, yeah, the Jags are still alive.
And only now, even with the Patriots, only 2 of them have even clinched the playoff spot.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's all over the place. Like, technically, you could be out of the playoffs. I'm not expecting it. But you could also be clinching buys. So the Bills have the Eagles and Jets the next 2 weeks. So one more test against Philadelphia, depending on how much Philly goes after it next week, and then the Jets.
We have to
for a Bills team that's they're flawed, they're this, they're that, but 11-4 right now.
We have to credit someone in the chat saying we get a shout out James Cook. One play in particular, his touchdown, where he made 3 different Browns defenders look ridiculous, cut by it was a broken tackle, cut by a guy, just 3 guys he made look absolutely absurd. I think there are 4 running backs in the NFL this season. Every single week they're looking amazing, and James Cook's one of them.
Yeah, he's been outstanding, which is why I thought they'd continue to run the ball a bit more, and they did not in the second half. All right, let's go to the NFC South battle here. The doctor is listening now. He's back.
Really? There you go.
Oh, no, I'm assuming
because Carolina.
He's here now.
Yeah, I got it.
Carolina Panthers 23, Tampa Bay Bucks.
I thought he sent you his text to be like, I'm here.
No text. No, I have my dad accidentally calling me on the show and just making sure that that's not an emergency or something, right? So It wasn't. Mistake. Panthers 23-20 over the Bucks. Panthers now in sole possession of first place in the NFC South at 8-7. Bucks fall to 7-8. It was a game-ending interception. Lathan Ransom. Lathan Ransom. Jeez. I think I'd probably say that wrong every single time. Lathan Ransom.
It is an objectively awkward name. I don't know why, but there's something about it. It's like this is just
because you want to throw M's where the N's are and N's where the M's are.
It's like this is just awkward. I don't know what the issue is, but every time you try and say that guy's name, it's like this just doesn't feel right.
And a tough final play, an interception for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. He on a miscommunication.
It was a miscommunication. Mike Evans is running a crosser, and Baker half scramble, half maneuvers the pocket because it looked like a scramble.
Yeah.
Evans moves to scramble drill rules and starts rolling back to the right, but Baker was really just maneuvering the pocket and trying to throw the crosser.
Yeah.
Miscommunication ends the game for the Bucs.
Yeah, tough play because of that. And credit to Ransom because he was the guy that had the terrible, idiotic play last week against Tyler Shuck where Shuck, was taking the slide on a play that was pretty risky, and Ransom hits him and 15 yards, and that's basically the game. So bounce back for him to go out there and make the game-winning play instead of the game-losing play this time around. Brutal for Baker. And it was interesting because late in the game, both teams were kind of doing the same thing. It's like we had this close game, back and forth, pretty even, and then these 2 quarterbacks that have the parallels are interesting because, both former number 1 picks, both gone through their own trials and tribulations, both connected to the Carolina Panthers. And yet, actually, the real thing that connected them late in this game is these 2 guys have both got late game magic recently. Baker did not have it earlier in his career, and then recently has kind of become the late game magic Baker. Meanwhile, somehow Bryce Young, basically the only thing that's been consistent throughout his career is apparently he's up to 12 game-winning drives already. He doesn't win a lot of games, but every time he does, they're a game-winning drive late in the game. So Bryce Young did his part, hits Jalen Coker with a beautiful pass down the right sideline. They end up taking the lead. And And then Baker gets a chance to take over. You get your 2-minute Baker scramble drill magic. And unfortunately, it's one of those scramble drill magic, quite almost scramble drill, scramble, no, that ends up being the turnover.
After a long scramble for the first down, too.
They took over, and immediately you're getting the Baker Mayfield scramble. He's doing it again.
The Bucs kind of shot themselves in the foot, too, because they're down 3, and I believe Carolina, who's been doing they call them like the dirty ball kicks, right? Trying to maneuver the new the kickoff rule, and they've done a pretty good job putting opposing return teams in a bind, and they just kicked it. I believe they just went, let's kick a touchback, and the Bucs still picked up a penalty, right? So where did the Bucs start there? Yeah, they started at the 10. So the Panthers, they got dumb play. Josh Bullock, unnecessary roughness. So you're down 3. So the Bucs are just playing losing ball right now, is what's happening. You're down 3, you get a 2-minute drive to try to at least tie, maybe take the lead. The Panthers decide to kick it through the end zone, right? They play it super safe, and the Bucs pick up an unnecessary roughness penalty, Josh Bullock, and they start at the 10-yard line. And Baker gets him out of it with a 26-yard scramble that at least flips the field position a little bit, but eventually they end up with the miscommunication interception. But still just a disaster of a play for Tampa. And, Todd Bowles coming off of last week, the disappointing loss against the Falcons. Like they're in shambles in Tampa right now. It's not over for them right now, but it is a rough stretch. And
it's on the brink, though.
And you thought from there, I'm just going to talk from Bucs perspective for a minute here. With Mike Evans back and Ibuka and Jalen McMillan and Chris Godwin, still don't have that life from the past game. Very inconsistent there. They ran the ball a ton. I thought they ran it effectively. Bucky Irving was pretty good running the ball, but they didn't really open it up and throw the ball down the field. Ibuka had one 40-yarder in there, nothing else beyond 13 yards with those receivers.
Yeah.
And I saw the one stat, which was, Tedero and McMillan had 6 for 73. Bucs receiver, like Ibuka had 40, Evans 31, Godwin 30, McMillan 50. Like McMillan almost had as many yards as that top 4, which should be one of the best, deepest top 4s.
Yeah, they're all back now, and it's not, it hasn't kind of caught this passing game to life the way people thought it might. You have Mike Evans gets the red zone fade touchdown, but other than that, it's pretty lifeless passing game, and a lot of it was Baker Mayfield scrambling, trying to make things happen by himself. Like he had 50 yards scrambling effectively and 150 passing. I mean, that's fine, but you would expect like another 100 yards passing from him, and it's not happening. Nick Scorton, by the way, had a fantastic game, the rookie.
He did. And the Panthers is another game where I think Bryce Young just, if you go back through Panthers games, there was two reasons why they either won or lost, right? They either had a cluster turnovers, right, as I said, cluster turnovers in the first half, or key 3rd and 4th downs. In this one, it was like Bryce Young, all of his big plays on 3rd down. First touchdown to Tedero McMillan, just an absolute dime. Also against an all-out blitz, right? You're looking at this Todd Bowles defense. Every week we say, got to be able to handle the blitz. Panthers pick up a 0 blitz, and Bryce Young stands in there, puts it right on McMillan, who gets behind the defense for a touchdown. He has the scramble drill touchdown to take the lead. So every time the Bucs took the lead, Bryce Young comes back with a huge play. The scramble drill touchdown in the red zone, and then the play that you mentioned to Coker in a tie game to throw the fade to him, put it right on him. He torches Benjamin Morrison, who had a rough game for the Bucs at corner, and that set up the game-winning field goal for the Panthers. So Bryce making huge high-leverage plays, and I'd say 3 or 4 of the last 6 weeks, he's been outstanding. A couple duds in there, but far more good than bad right now for Bryce Young. And it feels like last year, too. It's like 6 yards per attempt. Bryce Young played great, but he did in the key situations. Had a drop in there, too, or like a just miss, which I thought was another great throw. He made some huge throws in clutch situations.
Yeah, he's like an interesting player because it feels like most of his really good plays are, the ones like the Jatavian Sanders touchdown where it's like it's just a sort of nice in-play adjustment where he does something, pulls up, delivers a ball around somebody, It's just, it's like a nice sort of smart adjustment, but doesn't necessarily go for an explosive play or anything. But the dime to Jalen Coker late in the game, like that was a legit high-end, big leverage, explosive play. That was really nice. That was sort of outside of the usual bucket of nice Bryce Young plays where it was like, okay, that was a more conventional, just big play.
So, man, credit the Panthers. And the leverage for this game was stronger for the Bucs based off all the probability models. Now, I think that's in part because people are baking in the fact that the Bucs are on paper a better team based off history and the fact that they're more likely to win in Week 18. But part of it is the Panthers play the Seahawks next week.
Yeah.
And the Bucs play the Dolphins.
Their schedule's harder, yeah.
Right? So this game mattered. It mattered more for the Bucs than it did for the Panthers, right? Where, look, the Panthers...
They would have taken strong control if they'd won the game.
Very strong control because the Panthers would have had to beat the Seahawks next week, most likely, because the Bucs are going to be favored against the Dolphins. So it mattered more for the Bucs. It's important for the Panthers to stay alive. It matters for both, right? The leverage works both ways. But Week 18 still probably determines the division because there's an assumption here that the Bucs will beat the Dolphins, and I don't want to make any assumptions on the Panthers here.
No, God,
we would never want to do that. But they will not be favored against the Seahawks, the number one seed in the NFC right now. They will not be favored against the Seahawks next week. So that's what we're looking at. If the Seahawks beat the Panthers, Bucs beat the Dolphins next week, who knows? We'll see what happens. Then we're looking at maybe Sunday Night Football, maybe the flexed game, because it's the only NFC race it's the only division playoff spot still to be determined, right? Everyone's clinched. The other 6 teams have clinched. The division's still TBD, but it's the only playoff spot in the NFC still available.
Yeah, with next week, in a week's time?
Week 18. I'm saying Week 18.
Right, yeah.
It could be the Sunday night flexed game. It could be. They could do it on Saturday night too. Because they'll have a primetime game on Saturday. Maybe just get it out of the way. But just if the Panthers lose and the Bucs win next week. Now, conversely, if the Panthers pull the upset against the Seahawks and the Bucs lose to the Dolphins,
which with Carolina's season is entirely possible.
Of course it is. And by the way, you talk about the Bryce Young comebacks. I know I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but they beat the Rams with Bryce playing a great game. They just missed beating the Chiefs and Eagles last year with great fourth quarter comebacks against good teams. They played well.
They beat Green Bay this year.
They beat Green Bay earlier this year when they're like hot Green Bay, like when they were playing well, not 9-5-1 now Green Bay. So they're capable of playing these high end games as long as they avoid cluster turnovers. Right? Can't do that.
I forgot to mention during the Buffalo breakdown, the real analytics breakthrough that they showed on the broadcast, which is when Sean McDermott wears glasses, he's 3-3. But when he squints blind without glasses, he's 8-1 now with 4 straight wins.
That's good.
And as somebody on Twitter said, being blind do bring out that dog in you a bit more. So, I mean, that's the key. Just don't let him put glasses on.
How did you stumble into that?
It was on the TV. I didn't do the research.
I missed that.
Yeah.
7 games going at a time. I'm sorry I missed that.
These are the things you got to pick up.
Oh, man.
The important analytics just flies right by you as you're watching broadcasts.
Anything? Mike Evans needs like 700 yards over the next 2. What? No?
Like Minnesota with Project JJ, the Bucks, forget the playoffs. Project Mike Evans is going to get 600 yards and they got to average 350.
Anything else on this one?
Nope.
Los Angeles Chargers get the win over the Cowboys. This was a shootout for a while, and I've lost the score. Where is it? 34-17. Was it 17-17 at one point? 21-17? Chargers get the win to move to 11-4. Cowboys fall to 6-8-1. This was a fun one. Both offenses were cooking early on. But then, Chargers defense cracked down. It was 21-17 at the half. They were going back and forth in the first half. And then Chargers did not give up another point. Shut them down in the second half to get the win. And there's still a path for the Chargers to win the AFC West and perhaps have the number 1 seed.
Yep. With MVP Justin Herbert at the helm.
Man, I mean, last week we were talking about it as like a narrative award for Herbert. We're like, there's no stats that back this up. Even in the Chiefs game last week, you wouldn't look at the stat line and say, man, this is great. But given when he made those throws, the pressure that he's been under.
But I was
these
making
last
it
2
as
weeks.
a serious case.
But I'm saying this week though.
Yeah.
23 of 29 for 300, 2 touchdowns.
I mean, yeah, when you play the Dallas defense, you're
Not sacked once. The Dallas defense brings out the numbers to now back up the narrative discussion.
Your stats are going to improve when you're playing against the Dallas defense. Tommy Yarish on Twitter says the Cowboys blitzed on 54.5% of Justin Herbert's dropbacks today, which is the highest rate of the season for them per Next Gen Stats. They did not record a sack against Herbert. The first game this season where Herbert hasn't been sacked. So Dallas's defensive game plan, remember, this is how bad this defense is. Their defensive game plan was, the Chargers' offensive line's in ribbons. Let's come after Herbert. This is how we win this game. They changed up. They blitzed the living crap out of him, and they didn't get him at all. Well, that's a recipe for problems. And that's exactly what happened. Herbert just went nuts, took over, was the MVP level player that he has been for this entire season, and carved them to ribbons.
He did, man. I mean, an absolute dime to Quentin Johnston, who was
amazing play, beautiful throw, and it's actually a phenomenal catch by Quentin Johnston as well because Savone Revel is all over him. It's one-handed, like he brings it in with his left hand, and as he's bringing it in, he pays attention to where his feet are as well. Make sure he gets both feet in before he sort of veers off out of bounds as well. Phenomenal play.
He never
both
makes
ends.
that play. I mean, look,
right.
He's been much better this year.
Yes.
When it comes to hands, big plays like that. Still had a couple drops in there, but man, he's been so much better this year for the Chargers.
I mean, he had a jump ball in this game as well. He's been completely different this year.
They got Trey Harris involved a little bit. He had a drop as well, but man, he made some nice plays for them, for the Chargers. Keenan Allen with 5 catches, Ladd McConkey, 25-yard touchdown and 4 catches. This was a good, well-rounded pass game. So I feel like I say this every week. Teams come out of these Cowboys games, and it's like, the offense is fixed, and they figured it out. I know the Cowboys defense with they had a 2-week stretch of feeling pretty good. Yeah. And despite adding Quinnen Williams and all the youth back and all the players that they were missing, the injuries, they've been pretty bad on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Herbert just had answers to everything they were doing. Like, he had the play where he steps through as a 34-yard scramble. He just takes off, and he's like a gazelle in the open field. They just a huge run. But he also had one where it was like he steps through the pocket instead of scrambling, had wide open space in front of him, drops an absolute 50-yard dime to Quentin Johnston as well. It's like at that point, I mean, doesn't matter what you're doing, he's better than you are.
So many of the AFC narratives, right? It's like, hey, the teams aren't as good, or there's no Chiefs, or the Bills feel flawed even though they're 11-4. But you could see the way Trevor Lawrence is playing, the way Justin Herbert's playing. Some of the games that Bo Nix has put together, but more like Herbert and Lawrence, man, Herbert's high end is special.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence's high end is special, but Herbert, the way he's playing, and it hadn't showed up statistically, but now it did in this game.
MVP.
He can play special ball, man.
Yeah.
And I thought the defense, which has been outstanding, Dak was matching him throw for throw in the first half. Dak was matching Herbert with tight window throws. Pickens ends up with a $130 and a touchdown, and CeeDee Lamb with 51 yards. But Dak was making a lot of tight window throws because, the Cowboys defense is bad. The Chargers defense is good. They make life a little bit more difficult, and it felt like the margin for error was very tight, and Dak was making those throws. That disappeared in the second half, but he was matching Herbert throw for throw in the first half before, look, the Chargers are a better team.
Yeah,
Dallas.
And they have a good defense. I mean that's how it felt like this game was going to go. It's like, look, the Chargers clearly have the answers on offense. Dallas's defense is terrible. They're going to carve them up and put up some points. And then the question is, can Dallas match them in a shootout with their own very high-powered good offense going up against an actual good defense? And for a while they could, but eventually the Chargers defense made enough plays to let their offense, scamper off into the distance score-wise, and Dallas just couldn't keep pace, but they did it for a while.
The other, so just scenario-wise for the Chargers, I don't have every finishing scenario, but what an interesting finish to the season. They have the Texans on Saturday. They have a Saturday afternoon game against the Texans next week, and then they have the Broncos. If the Broncos, so the Chargers and Broncos are both in a unique situation where each team can win out.
Controls their own destiny.
Controls their own destiny, their own fate, their own results. Broncos and Chargers, either team wins out. they win the AFC West. Mm-hmm. And I believe number 1 seed still technically on the line for the Chargers, more on the line for the Broncos because they're a game up.
But I think they control the 1 seed as well. Like, I think if the Chargers win out, it gets them that seed.
It wouldn't, because the Patriots are 12-3, and the Chargers
maybe
are
11-4. Maybe it was before that,
so the
Patriots game. No, there was a point in time where if the Chargers won out, they won. They had the 1 seed.
I believe if the Broncos win out, they'll have the 1 seed. If the Chargers win out, they'll have the West, but it would need the Patriots to lose a game to at least have the 1 seed. The Jags have a path to the 1 seed as well.
Maybe it was the Jags
at 11-4. They have a path. Anyway, Chargers now. Like, if you start to look at the stretch that they had the Eagles on Monday night, then they had the Chiefs, have this game against the Cowboys, and this we highlighted the stretch a few weeks ago for the Chargers. So I want to just revisit it really quick. I thought they had a chance to drop a couple of these games. There was a point where I said, hey, if they go 2-3 down the stretch, they're 3-0 in this stretch. Eagles on Monday night, Chiefs last week to eliminate them.
Yeah.
And then this game against the Cowboys, who had been more feisty, over the last month or so. 3-0 in this stretch, and done it in different ways. This was with high-powered offense. Last week was with the defense coming up with some huge plays. That Monday night against the Eagles was in overtime. I mean, they're finding ways to win in different ways every single week here, the Chargers.
Yeah, and look, it's not like they haven't faced good pass rushes. Kansas City can rush the passer. Philadelphia can absolutely rush the passer. But the next 2 weeks are as tough as it gets in those terms. And I feel like the Chargers, as good as they are, and Herbert, I genuinely think, is playing MVP caliber football this season. But as good as they are, I do feel like they're almost capped, or their ceiling is determined by how big a problem that offensive line will be against certain teams in the playoffs. We will get a much better calibration on what that actually is with their final 2 games, which are against Houston and then Denver, who presumably still have something serious to play for in that final week. If they can hold up and still do what they're doing against those 2 teams, then the Chargers are a legit Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
If they can't, and it's like, okay, when you face a team like that, you're basically dead on arrival. Then you feel like, all right, they might win a playoff game. They might, they can beat some teams in the postseason, but if they have to run up against one of these problems. I know they've beaten Denver already, but that was week 3 before their entire offensive line was hurt.
Man, it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun, this playoff. Both conferences right now. It is wide open. So, great game by the Chargers. And I thought they handled Dallas's. Dallas has a good pass game. They handled a lot of the counterpunches that Dak and Pickens threw at them and shut them down in the second half. Mm-hmm. We've got some lesser Sunday games to get through in a second here. You know how fast NFL game days move, including the show. One big play, everything changes. That's why live betting on FanDuel, it's a game changer. With FanDuel, you could bet in real time while the game unfolds. Score just flipped. You can jump on a new spread or a live money line. That wide receiver's heating up. Well, you could bet the next touchdown score or total yards. Think that drive stalls in the red zone. You could take a live field goal prop or fade the total. Live player props, team totals, drive results, updated spreads, next play markets. It's all there. It's fast. It's fun. And with FanDuel, your live bets move as quickly as the game does. So whether you're riding momentum or fading the hype, FanDuel puts you right in the middle of every moment. Visit FanDuel.com/33rd to download the app and bet the NFL live all season long. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, and 18 plus at present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Paid endorsement. All right, let's go. Where are we? Minnesota Vikings get the win over the New York Giants, 16-13. Vikings move to 7-8, creeping back toward 500 in Minnesota.
Creeping back toward average.
Giants at 2-13, and I'll reference this a couple times on the show. Headed for a showdown, the Giants, in the 4:00 window next week with the Raiders for the number 1 overall pick. Giants at 2-13. Jackson Dart finishes 7 of 13 for 33 yards, plus another 20 lost on sacks, a net of 13 passing yards for the Giants in this one. J.J. McCarthy hurt at halftime, and there were not a lot of plays run in this game. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, like Dart got his first completion with like a minute left in the first half. It was nuts. The Vikings defense, I think, is really the story of the game. You could argue both defenses, but I think especially Minnesota's, they were doing an incredible job in this game. And not for the first time this season. I mean, we thought it might be a tough day at the office for Jackson Dart, for a young quarterback going up against this level of disguise and creativity, and it was. I mean, they didn't really have much going at all. They had one really nice play from Tyrone Tracy, and outside of that, the Vikings defense just absolutely clamped down. And it was weird because there were a few turnovers in the game, almost all of which were freaky plays that, didn't make a ton of sense. Like Jalen Naylor, the one guy that I was crediting for not being responsible for screwing his quarterback, starts to make those plays as well. Has a drop pass that ends up as an interception. Had another one later that I think got negated, but Jackson Dart then had one of those as well where his was a drop pass into an interception. Every turnover in this game felt like a play that actually should have been made. But other than that, the defense was really impressive.
And the only touchdown that the Giants scored was J.J. McCarthy strip sacked by Brian Burns.
On unblocked play. Yes. Normally there's a lot of times where the unblocked player is typically on the quarterback. This one, I don't know what Brian O'Neill is doing, and I feel like that probably should have been his man. So I think J.J. McCarthy might have actually been correct to not expect the unblocked defensive end powering right in his direction. But yeah, the strip sack, fumble, recovery, touchdown, that was basically the only thing the Giants had in the game. And that hurt J.J. McCarthy. I don't know what exactly is wrong with him. I haven't seen an update, but intense pain in his right hand when they were messing with him on the sideline.
Yeah, I just saw them testing it. Hey, does this hurt? And he almost fell over.
Yeah.
He crumpled.
Right.
So that got him out of the game. Max Brosmer came in, went 7 of 9 for 52. I mentioned the box score looks like it's something out of 1983. It is the Vikings ran the ball officially 31 times and had 23 passes. And the Giants ran the ball 30 times and had 13 passes. They combined for 106 total plays. Just for perspective, most teams usually average about 65 each, maybe pushing 70. So usually at 130 plays total from scrimmage. They were at 106.
Yeah,
a Grader's dream, as you said last night. We would have zoomed right through this.
Loved
thing.
it,
even with all the rumble. It was a service academy level of scrimmage plays.
But without the triple option diagnosis of it, that was a pain in the ass to grade. This one would have been perfect. My congratulations to whoever at PFF drew this assignment.
So whoever got maybe just a half probably could have knocked out the whole thing, both sides, get double pay. Anyway, it was the only implications were draft related. Giants lose.
Well, draft related, and the fact that Minnesota has been working with this. Okay, McCarthy's back, ticking in the right direction, looking slightly better. Justin Jefferson was actually making plays for the first time this season. Things were incrementally moving in the right direction, and then boom, stupid play, blown assignment somewhere, and McCarthy's in major pain, out of the game, and who knows for how long. If that's something broken in his right hand, and that's.
Oh, he's probably done for the next 2 weeks.
Right, that's really the only way you usually react to that when somebody, hey, does this hurt? Yeah, broken.
Yeah.
If that was the test, then, he's probably done for the year, and that's not helpful.
You lose 2 games of development, and plus...
Not even development, just development and what are we getting here? What is he?
Yeah, including a short week this week where they're going to play the Lions on Christmas. So it might be a Brosmer Christmas.
Brosmer, by the way, looked a lot better when he didn't have to play the Seahawks defense.
True.
Yeah.
He did. Also, the first game where Jackson Dart, I don't want to say looked overwhelmed or whatever it was, but just he's been in a rough situation.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I think has been most impressive about Jackson Dart. Similar to what we said about Drake May last year, where we said the line's bad, he's throwing to nobody, the stat line's never going to look great, but there's some impressive, the fact that he's holding his own is very impressive. That's been Jackson Dart's season, except maybe with better stats. And this is the first time where if 7 of 13 for 33 yards and sacked 5 times. If this was Jackson Dart's first start and that was his stat line, I'd say, I get it. First start in the NFL. It's the first time it's just he hasn't been able to overcome the situation. And that Vikings defense is hot right now.
Yeah.
If they had not started so slowly this year, Flores' defense turning it on this last month plus.
It's been so amazing. It's been
would be
so
a
impressive.
huge story,
Yeah.
including when they lost to the Seahawks and didn't really have a shot.
Their
but, like,
defense was
keeping them
amazing in that
Yeah.
game. Yeah, I mean, and the numbers could have been worse for the Giants in this game. Like early on, there's an unblocked sack from Harrison Smith, and they instead give him roughing the passer because he made the sack high enough up on Jackson Dart that they're like, nah, helmet contact there. Like the net passing numbers could have been even worse. But it was a bizarre game where like defenses were in charge, but every major turnover was like some sort of joke play where it was actually a good play right up until the catch point. You had the Jalen Nailor drop one. You had the Jackson Darts one throwing, or his interception was like that. The one I was talking about, another Jalen Nailor one, was like a negated pick six. Like it was off his hands, ended up in Javon Holland's hands. He houses it and then negated because Abdul Carter lined up in the neutral zone. So a guy who, he's been benched multiple times already for like missing meetings or whatever, then just does the basic dumb thing of lining up in the neutral zone, which negates, on the one hand, a play that never should have happened because Jalen Nailor just catch the ball. On the other hand, that's a pick six if you don't line up in the neutral zone, and that would have been a huge play in this game. So a weird game where like all the negative plays were bizarre catastrophe, shooting yourself in the foot cartoon stuff. You lose J.J. McCarthy. You don't find out anything about him anymore. But the real difference in the game is just Minnesota's defense against Jackson Dart was a one-way street of ass-kickery.
So Vikings get the win, move to 7-8. I still think they're a pretty good team that dealt with QB issues, injuries, and lack of rhythm on offense for much of the season here. So then the Giants and Raiders next week. A couple 2-win teams. Loser with the inside track for that number 1 overall pick. Might even lock it up.
Controls their own destiny.
They really do. For the Raiders, maybe to get a quarterback. For the Giants, to maybe get the haul from the Browns or the Raiders for the quarterback. So a lot on the line next week, which brings us to former battles for the number 1 overall pick. Bengals, Dolphins, 45-21. Dolphins, Bengals get the win here. Figure this out. For some reason, a story came out this week that way back in 2020, the Dolphins offered 4 first-round picks for Joe Burrow. I don't know why it just came out this week, but if we go back in time, that was the 2019 Dolphins, who for the first half of the year looked like a college team.
Tank for Tua.
They were going to do the tank for Tua thing that was coinciding with Joe Burrow having one of the best college football seasons of all time. And then Brian Flores had a couple culture wins, right? They put in Brian, they benched. What did they do? Is that when they put in Fitzpatrick? No, that was later. But the Dolphins start winning for culture.
Right.
And they earned the 5 pick instead of the 1. And it's like.
And wasn't there a thing that Flores was like instructed to tank that year?
And then maybe there was some,
like by ownership or whatever?
Yeah. Maybe there was some, we would like to have the number 1 overall pick. And it's just interesting that the story came out this week that then they offered 4 firsts, which did they have that many firsts to offer? I don't remember.
I doubt it. You can't
trade more than 3 years in advance. So
maybe
maybe
they would have needed all their picks and the futures from somebody.
So that story came out, but it does remind you, like, if you can legally tank, it kind of like if the Dolphins could have had Joe Burrow this entire time.
I mean, it shows you, like, again, it doesn't happen. There's too many people whose jobs are on the line, but it's like there are times where it should. You know what I mean? Like there are times where you should not like intentionally throw a game. Like go, hey, if you could just find a way of dropping this one. But like, play somebody that shouldn't be starting. Like that kind of thing, right? Like there are ways to lose a game without trying to lose a game. And for certain teams in certain situations, you should probably do that. Or in the Lovie Smith spot, if you've got one play to win a game or not, don't try too hard. Maybe don't win this game.
And it's so tough because then they got C.J. Stroud, and I'm sure they're thrilled with
and that's
Stroud.
The flip side of it is like you never know, right?
Like
maybe Burrow could have been the bust and Tua worked out like perfectly, But it does feel like there are times where you're like, hey, let's just not try too hard winning this game.
Anyway, there's a narrative out there that a 6-8 team was without their starting quarterback and then got smoked by about 20 points.
Yeah,
and that missing quarterback might just be. You realize how valuable that missing quarterback is when they're gone, and maybe that's Tua and not Mahomes.
Oh, I see. He's the real MVP? Is that what you're saying?
Because they bench Tua and then lose by 24 to a 4-win team. So you could see how much Tua meant to that team. Anyway, Quinn Ewers gets the start.
Meanwhile, they're out here dragging him in the media during the week.
Were they? Were they dragging
the
Tua?
PR spin is out there. All the insiders are like, Tua's changed off the field. He's not the same guy anymore. We've got to move on. Like,
who's spinning? McDaniel's getting this thing spun? Like, who's?
I don't know who
feeding
does
this?
that. I don't know if that's
Tua's
I don't know
agent's
who
not
feeds that
close
message
with the
out.
Insiders?
I just feel for Tua, with his concussion history, I feel like that's dirty work. I don't.
Yeah.
I think you need to be. Aware, like, because this happens from.
Why can't it be as simple as you have never beaten good teams anyway, and most of your production has coincided with having Tyreek
Right, like
Hill?
you don't need to make the spin aside from anything else. But like this happens all the time when this type of move happens, right? Like somebody in the team is like, we need to get the message out, why we've done this. And like, well, what's the easiest way of doing that? Well, let's trash the guy that we just benched. Like, okay, as you say, I don't think you really need to do that on account of it's fairly obvious why he got benched. But with him in particular, because of his concussion history, which is not just he's had a lot of concussions, it's the magnitude of the concussions that he's had and the fact that one of them was fairly obviously covered up in front of everybody's eyes. To then start talking about things like he's changed, his personality is different, knowing what we now know about CTE and concussions and that kind of thing, I think that that's a very uncomfortable world to be wading into, because either it's not true, in which case that's a really nasty thing to be putting out there publicly about him, who, by the way, like he's presumably going to be trying to find a new job at some point, and you've just like publicly said, I don't know if his brain's all there, or it's not true at all, in which case, so it's either not true. I forget which one I started with. It's either not true at all, in which case it's really dirty, or it is true. And then you're in this really uncomfortable world of, does that mean he should just hang up the career now because he's changed? And we know that there's at least instances where that's related to CTE. Or, is he just like, sometimes people get rich, they get older, and they change, right? Like that happens to people, right? People's personalities change anyway. So you don't even know if that's the case, but we do know that it is a potential symptom of CTE and all this kind of thing. It's a horrible world to be wading into for no reason. Like there's no reason to put that out there. You benched him because he was playing like ass. End of story, right? You didn't need to start poking at that stuff. I feel like that's really, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
So this game was close at halftime. I thought Quinn Ewers. I'm going to go back to the
anyway.
Game. Because it's almost 9.
Yeah, there's a game, sure.
This game was close at halftime. I thought Quinn Ewers in his first start, he goes 20 of 30 for 260, 2 picks. Picks were kind of not on him. He had some other passes into coverage, whatever. I thought he looked pretty good, made a couple big plays early on, got the ball to Darren Waller down the field for a big play or two, Jalen Waddle. It was close at the half, and then the turnovers by the Dolphins or the forced turnovers by the Bengals.
Every time they turn it over, Cincinnati scored a touchdown off the turnover, which was problematic.
And then speaking of concussions, T. Higgins came back and looked like T. Higgins. Huge catch down the left sideline, had a nice touchdown. And then Chase Brown, couple catches out of the backfield for touchdowns. The Dolphins, if just from their perspective, it was another game where it's like, the first half was fine, and the second half was like embarrassingly bad.
Yeah.
They've had a few of these games, including the Steelers the other night, where you can't tackle, you're just out of position, you just look completely overwhelmed on the defensive side of the ball. This team that was like showing signs of life against bad teams, they looked bad on the defensive side of the ball. They got their usual 48-yard touchdown from Devin Achane on a toss play. Right?
That's one of the 4.
Like clockwork.
Achane is so good this year.
He is so good. And again, I thought Ewers was fine. I thought McDaniel did it. The play calling was good, misdirection and play action and creating some explosives. I thought they hung tough in the first half, but then the Bengals offense took advantage of those turnovers in the second half.
Yeah, the Bengals offense was really impressive. You mentioned those plays that T. Higgins made. Jamar Chase had some really nice plays as well. Chase Brown was adding to it when he's adding to it. Now you've got there's a lot to deal with at that point from a defensive point of view. They looked really good. And Miami, Devon Achane, I said there's 4 running backs that every week seem to be doing something pretty special on a regular basis. Achane is one of them, and he's playing for a team that isn't that good. He was by far the most impressive thing they brought to the table. And then, as you said, their defense just ran out of steam again and started to get absolutely stomped.
As far as draft capital goes here, the Bengals still picking right ahead of Miami currently at the number 9 spot. Miami would be number 10 right now at 6-9, tied with Atlanta, who's going to give the Rams this pick, and then the Chiefs at 6-9. Chiefs would be at 12 in the draft order right now. Joe Burrow finishes with the 4 touchdown passes, including a little 23-yard check down to Chase Brown. Again, to some embarrassing tackling from Miami on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
But Bengals bounced back from getting shut out last week against the Ravens. All right, let's go New Orleans Saints. We got a lot to talk about here. Saints 29-6 over the Jets. Saints move to 5-10. Jets fall to 3-12. While I'm here, Jets would be picking 4th right now in a 4-way tie now among 3-12 teams. Browns, Jets, Cardinals, and Titans. And the Saints would fall all the way to pick number 8 with this win. 5-10 tied with the Bengals.
Mm-hmm. The Fighting Charlie Smiths.
You know, I watch a game and I'm like, hey, I want to see all the high leverage plays and the touchdowns and stuff like that. And you're like, man, this is great. Field goals galore.
Just want to see the Irish guy. Huge Charlie Smith day. 5 field goals, which ties him for the Saints record already. He's only been there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Got his fresh off his 3-year contract. And he's out there tying Saints records. Could have broken the record if he hadn't missed from 61, but you know these are details. The thing is, he's so good that even when he misses from 61, it's like, yeah, but look how far up the upright it hit. Like that would have been good if it was good, and it wasn't. It would have been good from 70. You know,
Charlie Smith, freshly signed.
He got another game ball. That's 2 in 2 weeks. Now Kellen Moore apparently gave out 13 game balls, so he's not that impressive, but
he has 2 more game balls than returned texts to you.
100%, yeah. So he's stacking them up.
Tyler Shuck looks pretty good again.
Yep.
And throws a nice touchdown to Chris Olave, and then a second touchdown to Chris Olave comes from Taysom Hill, who had a fun little stat that you pulled out in the instant reaction last night.
This was another game where it was close for at least half and then went away. 6-9 or something at the half, and then the Saints really put foot down in the second half. Yeah. So weird. I mean, bizarre game from Taysom Hill, first and foremost. No, it was like it was his career in a nutshell. It's like he did everything, including fumble. And that's kind of been the story of his career. He's this amazing Swiss Army knife, jack of all trades player who, if he just didn't fumble the ball as often, would just be a really, really good runner of the ball. But yeah, he ends up becoming the first player in the Super Bowl era, because this happened presumably all the time back in the 40s. The first player in the real football era, as Steve would like to think of it as.
Thank you.
To have 1,000 yards or more passing, running, and receiving. This game put him over the 1,000 mark, I think, receiving. He's over 2,000 in the other two. But it is kind of remarkable. I mean, a lot of the post-game stuff was about Taysom Hill, because this might have been his last home game for the New Orleans Saints. You know, the end of his contract there. What is he, 9-10 years into his career? You know,
44 years old.
Yeah. So who knows how much more Taysom Hill we're going to get. But it is. I mean, it has been a sort of fascinating, if not unique, NFL career where he really has been this jack of all trades guy. Not quite any one thing. Maybe he could have just been one thing if they'd found the thing early enough and just plugged him into that role. But you know, he's the guy that has the bomb to Chris Olave late in the game for a big play. He gets himself a nice catch in here as well. He was running the ball, which, okay, fumble isn't great, but just a unique player. And remember, like, he first showed up in the NFL as this, like, former college quarterback who they had, like, as a kickoff coverage guy on special teams. Like, he's done everything, and it's just a fun damn player to watch.
So with running back injuries, he's the leading runner with 42 yards.
Yep.
They didn't want to feed Audric Estime, which is,
it's a mistake.
But he's the leading runner with 42, 38-yard touchdown pass.
Estime had a nice
yards.
play in there as well, though. Breaking tackles, looking good.
Still good. Rejuvenation for Estime. On the other side, Brady Cook sacked 8 times.
Yeah.
Intercepted. And the Jets' defense has yet to record an interception.
The Jets' defense has now become, according to Ari Meirov, the first team in NFL history to not have an interception in 15 consecutive games. 2 more games to go for a full season of no interceptions.
Off the top of my head, I was going to say, well, they haven't thrown many either. Because, remember, Justin Fields had 1.
Right.
I don't think Tyrod has more than a couple, but Brady Cook screwed it all up because he's got a bunch.
Yeah.
But like if Fields kept starting, there's a chance this team there would only be like 3 interceptions in any Jets game total this year because Fields wasn't, because they don't throw the ball a lot and Fields doesn't.
I mean,
throw picks.
We're in a golden age, as you like to say, of no interceptions.
Yes.
The reason the passer rating is through the roof for every quarterback in the NFL relative to Steve Young is that basically NFL offenses have gotten really good at not throwing interceptions. However, it's still crazy to manage to go 15 straight games without finding one because plays like the J.J. McCarthy play happen, right? Like a dude, just the ball hits him in the hands and you're like, ugh, and it ends up dropping into a defender's hands. Like those happen all the time. And somehow those have not happened for the Jets. And they've gone 15 straight games without just blind-ass luck dropping a ball into somebody's hands.
Yeah. It's tough to do.
It is.
It's tough to do. I have no more use for this game. Saints stay hot, though.
Other than, Saints stay hot. Tyler Shuck continues to look good. Like, these are all encouraging signs.
They are. Big day for Chris Olave as well. Tennessee Titans get the win over the Kansas City Chiefs, 26-9. Titans move to 3-12. Chiefs fall to 6-9. The Cam Ward looked really good for the Titans. On the other side, you got to discuss Gardner Minshew gets the start. Gets hurt very early, tries to play through it.
With an ACL,
and then later we find out
psycho.
Torn ACL. That meme is hilarious, by the way.
Isn't it?
Forrest Gump. That is perfection.
I'm always reticent to – I would like to credit that account because it comes up with some absolute bangers, but they're morally dubious because there's some stuff it comes up with that's very sketchy and it steals all of its content from other people. So I don't like to give them credit. But, there's a meme out there that's like it's Gardner Minshew bumping into Patrick Mahomes in the hospital with their torn ACLs, and it's Forrest Gump and Lieutenant Dan.
With the ice creams.
With the ice creams. It's hilarious.
Chris Oladukin needed to come in.
South Dakota State?
I don't remember.
Is that right?
I don't remember.
I think it is.
He had played like 5 NFL snaps, never threw a pass. He had to come in for Minshew, goes 11 of 16 for 111, sacked 4 times. So, the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Jackrabbits.
Jackrabbits, beautiful. Chiefs were without Rashee Rice, Tyquan Thornton, bunch of players, offensive line still in shambles, and you could feel and see all of that. And then for the Titans, look, Cam Ward goes 21 of 28 for 228 with some dimes in here.
Yeah.
Both within structure and outside of structure. I know the Chiefs weren't playing for anything. They still had a bunch of their starters out there on defense, though.
Yeah.
And Ward made some big plays.
The defensive side of it is much more important. I mean, look, the Chiefs' offense is an absolute shit show right now. Everybody's hurt. They're down to QB3. The whole thing's a disaster. Them ending up with 9 points, okay, that makes some sense. Even against the Tennessee Titans defense, it's not amazing. Jeffrey Simmons, though, was a beast. Like, he made a couple of huge plays. So that part of it,
again, great season for him.
Yeah, that part of it makes some sense. He forced the game started 2-0 for Tennessee because Jeffrey Simmons' tackle for loss forces a safety. The other side, though, like Kansas City did have a lot of defensive players out there, and Spags was dialing up everything he could to try and get after Cam Ward, and Ward was just beating it. I mean, he made a bunch of plays that were, this is good defense, and Ward's just got the answer to it. I mean, that was a really impressive performance. So, obviously Kansas City season is done, and, presumably they're, to an extent, mentally already on vacation, but that was an impressive Cam Ward performance.
There was another play in there because he was dropping some dimes. Scramble drill to Aya Manor, dropped one in a bucket to Aya Manor down the sideline.
And DK as well.
Yes. I mean, Cam made some great plays. The other play that stood out to me where I was like, man, he's taking control here. They had a third and long that turned into like fourth and 1, 4th and inches. And Cam was sprinting up to the line and he was going to run a QB sneak. It was like he was commanding the offense and getting them to, go for it on 4th down and everything. And then they got stopped. But like the commands to get there was impressive. Then they got stopped on the sneak. But I thought that was pretty good too. Just getting the offense to the line and setting up a quick snap on a 4th and short, even though they got stopped. So again, every single week for Tennessee, trying to see what can Cam Ward show signs of life. And this one, I think in previous games, it was signs of life in like the form of a couple nice throws. And in this one, it was just a clean start-to-finish game, I
Yeah.
thought, for Cam Ward.
It was maybe his
plus
best
they got the run
performance.
game.
Yeah, this was maybe his best performance.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's been stringing together most of those games in recent weeks. Like, this has been definitely a movement significantly in the right direction. Yeah, like, okay, it was against the Chiefs, and we've already said they're probably checked out. They're battered. They're done.
I thought they played hard most of the game. So at the end, they were getting run over at the end, and it was like, all right, maybe they're done.
But, like, this was the Titans that I expected to see more of this year, which is, look, okay, so a lot of these guys have been injured, but that two-headed monster of a backfield of Pollard and Spears, they're both really good players. Cam Ward was making some big plays, forget whether or not it was consistent or not, but he was dropping some absolute dimes in there. And then, do you have enough in the receiving core with Maynor and DK and Okonkwo? And they did in this game. And again, that's probably not going to be consistent because those guys they're either young, unproven, or just not as good as you want yet. But they were feisty, and feisty was enough against a team like Kansas City who just didn't have any offense and weren't good enough on defense to make the plays.
Anyway, so Tennessee, they look good, man. They look good. I know the Chiefs are very beat up. Olajuwon, a couple nice scramble drill plays, but, all I want to know is if the shouty shows are going to give him a pass this week because he didn't have any first-team reps. Will they give him...
Shouty shows don't know who he is.
Why don't the Chiefs have a plan for Olajuwon's development? Why don't they have a better plan? How many first-team reps has he gotten this season?
The shouty shows do not even know who he is. They don't know his name. They don't know he exists. They are still unaware that he plays football.
Wait till he shows up.
His name will not come up, I promise
Wait till he's on their TV.
Thursday
night, Christmas night.
I challenge anybody out there to find a shouty show clip from today where his name is mentioned.
No, the takes are going to be, see how valuable Mahomes is? The Chiefs scored 9. No Rashee Rice, no Tyquan Thornton.
If that argument is made, it will be made without the mention of his name.
Minshew hurt, of course. See what Mahomes did this year? Check it out. Anyway, beat down by the Titans. It was close for a little bit. Chiefs have to come back on Christmas night, Thursday. Wait till Olajuwon and the Raiders in Week 18.
Christmas
weeks.
Miracle for everybody.
If you were wondering, after Minshew got hurt, it was Noah Gray who was the
emergency.
He was the emergency quarterback. I assumed Kelsey, given all his history.
College, high school QB.
Yeah, but he's old.
He is old. Yeah.
So that probably.
I'm a lot less excited about that as a concept now since we saw that Christian McCaffrey NFC Championship game.
You used to root for that. I really want to see what happens until it's like.
I want to see what happens when the fullback is playing QB for an NFL team.
The Kendall Hinton.
Game
didn't do it for you.
Between the Kendall Hinton game and the Christian McCaffrey NFC Championship game, I'm just less enthused by that than I used to be.
Good. I'm just glad. The one good thing coming out of COVID is that you saw what would happen if a wide receiver played quarterback and knew that maybe this isn't as fun as it looks on paper.
It turns out it's just not fun. It's just sad for everybody.
All right, we'll get to the 4 o'clock games here. But a quick break to talk about our friends over at Root Insurance. Root Insurance believes that good drivers deserve better rates, so they've created a new kind of car insurance that rewards good drivers in an easy-to-use app. Traditional car insurance companies focus on demographics like age, zip code, occupation, and credit score to price your coverage. When Root offers a rate, your behavior behind the wheel gets more weight than any other single factor. They don't use occupation or education level to negatively affect your rate. While you drive, Root gathers and analyzes data from your smartphone sensors. After a few weeks, you'll get a car insurance quote based primarily on your driving. Save up to 44% off your initial Root quote after you take the test drive. If you need a tow truck, jump start, or if you lock your keys in the car, Root will cover the help you need to get back on the road when you opt into roadside assistance. The Root app makes it easy to edit your coverage, update your policy, or file a claim in just 3 minutes. You can get started today at Root.com. I picture us talking to all of our sponsors, being like, hey, check us out on the Monday show. As I'm reading.
As Elf.
Yeah. 4 o'clock window. Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags fans. They're all showing. They're all here. They're in the chat. They're excited. 34-20 win over the Denver Broncos. A statement game, just like in 96. 11-4 Jags. Broncos with their first loss since week 3. Falling to 12-3.
Did you see that tweet that I
Yeah, you showed me, yeah.
No, the one that I tagged you in?
You tagged me.
I didn't tag you. I just mentioned your name.
It was not me that was comparing Parker Washington to
Jimmy Smith.
Jimmy Smith.
Yeah, just like in 96. I'm like, is that your burner?
That is something I would do.
It's exactly something you do.
Something
In fact,
I would
it's basically
do.
something you just did.
But I didn't.
But it wasn't you, apparently.
But Parker Washington did his best Jimmy Smith impersonation, 6 for 145.
Yeah.
And a score. Looking great. Trevor Lawrence, another awesome game from him. 23 of 36 for 279, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. It was a back-and-forth game early on. It felt like a playoff game. The stadium was electric. So much so, I do want to discuss the P.J. Locke penalty where he didn't hear the whistle and kind of late hit on Trevor Lawrence. That had a big factor, at least for that one drive for the Jags. But it was 17-17 after an R.J. Harvey 38-yard touchdown early in the second half.
Yep.
But the Jags just made some stops, and the offense just continued to answer against this Denver defense.
Statement game from Jacksonville. I mean, they went in there against the number 1 seed at home in Mile High, historic venue, and put it to them. And Trevor Lawrence continues this run now of looking like something has changed in his game, whether he's finally got it, whether Liam Cohen has finally worked his magic, whatever the thing is. Trevor Lawrence looks different over the last month than he's looked for the rest of the season and for most of his career. And him playing at this level transforms the Jags into a completely different proposition that they were earlier in the season because, as we'd already said, everything else was already in good shape. Like the magic had already been worked everywhere else. The defense took an immediate step forward with the new coaching change. The run game was immediately better. And the only thing that was lagging behind was Trevor Lawrence, really. And also, I mean, you can sort of connect it to the receivers as well. Jacoby Myers arriving, always confounding variables. Like the change has kind of coincided with the same thing. But now you've got Parker Washington out here just absolutely eviscerating Riley Moss in this game. Jacoby Myers making some plays. Brian Thomas Jr. sort of scaled back within the offense. On the other hand, he's the guy playing X going up against Patrick Surtain for most of this game, so you would expect him to be taken out to a degree. But, like, the receivers are good. The passing game is now cooking because Trevor Lawrence is absolutely in his bag over the last month, and everything else is already in good shape. And so they just went in there and put it to what had been the number 1 seed.
You know how some quarterbacks, you can see their production take a big leap when they get their big number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
And we've talked a ton through the years about Tyreek Hill and Tua, A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. With Lawrence, it's almost gone the other way. And this isn't taking anything away from Jacoby Myers, who just signed a nice extension for the Jags. But he's still like this high-end number 2 type. And the bump in production for Trevor Lawrence this last month plus, it's not that, he got Jacoby Myers and now you're seeing 15 targets a game to Myers and he's the guy. But I think what Myers has been able to do and where Lawrence has really shined recently here is the ability to spread the ball around, exactly what you just described. So you get Brenton Strange back at tight end, you get Myers in the mix. Parker Washington has these games where he just goes off. But you're not sitting there saying, well, Brian Thomas Jr. needs to be the number 1. He needs to get 12 to 14 targets a game. And you're not just blindly feeding one person. So some quarterbacks, I feel like you see a bump when you get that one guy. It could be, CeeDee Lamb with Dak, Devontae Adams with Aaron Rodgers, where you'd have those games where it's like he's got to get 15 targets, and it's worth it. I feel like Lawrence is playing better football because he's not forcing the ball. And 1 week, it is Brian Thomas Jr. Another week, it is Parker Washington. Another week, it is Jacoby Myers. And he's just doing a really good job seeing the field, having answers. Even just, look, the Broncos got after him, man.
Yeah.
He got sacked 5 times. There was a lot of plays where he had to dance around and try to maneuver the rush. But even just having like a quick little answer to the flat to Parker Washington or hitting him on a quick out where he did a lot of work after the catch, Lawrence is not forcing it. He's taking what's there. They were talking about some of the footwork changes that they made in the shotgun, which I think is helping him not be as sped up as he is sometimes. Sometimes he's sped up. Sometimes he's not seeing it. He's too slow. He's seeing it. He's spreading the ball around, and it's almost the opposite of what other quarterbacks have. You give them the alpha and their production bumps. With Lawrence, it's like, I've got 4 or 5 options now. I'll just find the open man, and that's where his production has gone through the roof.
That's the thing. Like Denver's defense, Denver's pass rush did get after him and did put him under pressure, and he still just made the plays. I mean, the last few weeks, every week there's been at least one, and more than one in most of these games, where he is like running for his life towards the left and just drops an absolute dime towards somebody, and a variety of different throwing styles as well. This one was a kind of back across the body type of deal. But every week he's making one of these throws running for his life out to his left, but he's just neutralizing the pass rush. Like, they get after him. He's athletic enough to either make the play scrambling or buy himself time to throw it. Phenomenal game from Trevor Lawrence again against this really, really good Denver defense, which did pressure him, but they made plays. Like, Riley Moss, I still think is a very good corner, but he had a really bad day at the office in this game. Parker Washington beat him twice with just cuts that left him grasping at nothing. One of them was a ridiculous move, to be fair. I don't even think that's a Riley Moss problem necessarily. Parker Washington catches it running full speed to his outside and just plants his foot in the ground immediately and cuts. It's one of those ones you see in soccer sometimes where a guy shoots so early the keeper is almost wrong-footed by it. He's just not expecting it to happen that soon. This was like that. He basically cut like a step earlier than you were expecting him to. And so Moss is just like grasping at nothing. The other one was the sort of opposite way where he caught it and then spun back inside really quickly. And Moss again is grasping at nothing. There was another play, I think, to Myers on like a deep in route where Moss is wrecked on the break. He did have a pass breakup in the end zone, which ended up being like a 4-point play, so it wasn't all bad. But like, you know, people will use this and his penalty count to be like, this guy's garbage, doesn't even deserve to be starting. I think he's a good player, but he got destroyed in this game.
Washington is a very good player. I mean, when we did the draft preview that year, him and Puka were my two mid-late round sleepers, and I don't always hit on late round sleepers, but I thought Parker Washington's game, I thought he was even slow to translate to the NFL, but the last year and a half or so has had some high-end games like this, plus the punt return additions. He's great after the catch, had the contested catch in the end zone for a touchdown. So a huge game from him. And like I said, early on, it was back and forth. Bo Nix hits Cortland Sutton for a 15-yard touchdown. Jags come back. Nice little back shoulder from Trevor Lawrence to Brenton Strange. That one play I wanted to highlight, though, that helped spark the Jags, there was offsetting penalties, I believe, but P.J. Locke gets a late hit. Mm-hmm. It was loud in Denver. It was very loud. And P.J. Locke comes in. They blew the whistle. Was it a false start or whatever it was? Blew the whistle, and then he hits Trevor Lawrence late. Didn't hit him that hard, but because Lawrence isn't expected.
Pretty hard.
I mean, it looks worse because it's blindsided.
Yeah.
I thought that was a tough penalty because I really don't know how well you're going to be able to hear the whistle. He didn't look like he's like, I'm just going to ignore the whistle and take a cheap shot here.
No, I mean, But
I guess you have to enforce it so that, other people don't.
Yeah, I'm perfectly prepared to accept that he didn't hear the whistle. However, I don't think that you can that can't be an excuse. It has to be, number one, I think the whistle is probably easier to hear at field level when you're playing than it is. Because remember, the sound you're hearing from the TV is from the boom mic or whatever over on the sideline.
No, I know. I get it.
Like, the guy who's actually 15 feet away from you blowing a whistle is probably easier to hear than it sounds like it is. Even if it's not, though. Like, even if the sound is so deafening you just didn't hear the whistle from 10 feet away. Ultimately, that's the only way of enforcing the rules. You have to count that. Like, if you didn't hear the whistle, okay, unlucky, but that's why it's a penalty. So yeah, it's tough on him if you didn't hear the whistle. However, I don't see anything I don't see what you can do other than penalize him for it.
The other part of this, just from a Jags perspective here, remember when I mentioned a couple weeks ago when the Broncos played the Chiefs and Sean Payton had that little smirk at halftime against the champion Chiefs, and he was like, We're a second half team. He's got this
fourth quarter team, if you will.
Fourth quarter even. He's got this confidence that they're the second half team. And if you want to take a step back and say, like, what is Liam Cohen and the Jags, like, what have they done since that disastrous fourth quarter collapse against the Texans? The fact that they've righted the ship and gotten back on track is unbelievable. And the Broncos, it was 17-10 at the half, and the Broncos come out, and R.J. Harvey with an awesome 38-yard touchdown run. What a run by R.J. Harvey. Tied at 17. And you could easily say, multiple times now since that collapse by the Jags in that one game, you might be able to think, is this going to happen again? And, the human element comes in, but the Jags have not let that get to them.
Yeah.
In fact, it's worked the opposite. And then for Denver, who's been a great second-half team, right? You could easily say, well, they're going to make their comeback. And the Jags said, no chance. And they came back. Trevor Lawrence with a rushing touchdown. There was a fumbled exchange by the Broncos, and that really killed it because the Jags had another touchdown to ETN, which is another beautiful play design, getting him in space for a 10-yard touchdown. But I just want to credit the Jags from that perspective, just the emotional human element of, is it going to happen again? They have not let any of that creep back in, and they were awesome in the second half in this game.
Yeah, there were moments in this game where it could have gone the other way. I mean, you're like, this was remember last week you were giving them credit for the Denver can win in a shootout. And, I mean, Jacksonville put them in that situation again. They had 30 points up before the end of the third quarter. It's like, you're going to need the offense to do this.
Yep.
The defense isn't getting it done this week. And there were moments, like they threatened to, when they botched the exchange, I'm like, all right, that's probably game, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Jacksonville ball, you're like, that's probably it. But after that, you get this Bo Nix to Troy Franklin bomb. You're like, all right, that's going to help you start moving. They only got 3 out of that drive, though, so that didn't help. But then they got a fast stop, got the ball back. Like the defense did hold that time. And you're like, all right, if you score on this one, we might have a shot. But then you get immediate pressure from Trayvon Walker, kills a 3rd and 2. Then you had this, I don't understand what this decision was. Ridiculous, in my opinion, decision from Bo Nix on 4th and 2 on that sequence. So 3rd and 2, Trayvon Walker destroys the play, brings up 4th and 2. 4th and 2, it's like 3-by-1 formation, and they decide to throw a speculative contested catch jump ball to, Pat Bryant. When the check down is right in front of you, which had a pretty good shot at picking up 2 yards just because...
Slot.
And the slot guy is open.
Yeah.
Like, there's 2 options that you had that would have probably picked up the first down, and instead you throw a bad location on what I think was just a bad – I don't think it's a
bad back shoulder.
It's a bad execution of a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't –
It got picked. It should
terrible
have just been
decision.
and it should have just been knocked down.
Right.
But
I just don't even understand the decision. I'm like, I have no earthly idea why you would throw the ball over there on 4th and 2.
It was a strange one by Bo there.
And then
completely agree.
After that, the defense almost got the ball right back, and then 3rd and 8, Trevor Lawrence goes, nope, I'm going to pick this up scrambling again. Like Trevor Lawrence is coming up with the big plays when he needs to.
So from a Denver perspective, I'd been hinting at this the last couple of weeks. The defense looked like the rush kind of got there, but it's just not what it's been. They're showing some weakness in the last few weeks. The Monday night game against Washington, last week against the Packers. Now, did they step up and make the stops when they needed to against the Packers? Absolutely, but they gave it up early.
And arguably here, late in the game, like ironically, just at the point where the game became, all right, the defense has kind of crapped itself, the offense needs to take over. Like the defense actually did its part from that moment on.
They're not putting the complete
but they're like together. They made a couple of stops enough to give the Broncos offense the chance to execute one of the crazy fourth quarter drives or fourth quarter comebacks that they've been making, and they didn't actually make them, and then it collapsed again.
So that's all I'm saying is showing some weakness.
Yep.
On the defensive side of the ball for Denver. Whereas the Jags, they did make a bunch of those big stops and handled Denver's comeback attempt. So can't say enough about the job Liam Cohen's doing, the way Trevor Lawrence is playing. So same thing I said about Herbert. Like if the Jags have a good enough defense, they've been good all season. They could force the turnovers as we've seen. But if Lawrence plays at this level and just plays within himself with all of these playmakers that they're spreading it around to, they can go on that run just the same way that Herbert Chargers can go on that run and Allen's Bills can go on the run and Mays Patriots can go on that run. Like Lawrence is playing at that type of level right now.
If he continues this run, then the Jags are the most complete team that nobody's talking about. Like they have everything at that point.
No one wants to play the Jags in the playoffs.
Forget nobody wants to play them. Like they might just be the best complete team in the AFC at that point because they don't have the glaring flaw that some of these other teams do. Like the Chargers have a quarterback also playing at MVP level, but their offensive line is in ribbons. Like Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence playing at this level suddenly become this complete force with no real weakness.
So coming out of this, the Jags currently the 3 seed at 11-4. There's still a game up on the Texans who are 10-5 in the South. The Broncos still control the number 1 seed with they're at 12-3. They play the Chiefs on Christmas night, and then they have the Chargers. So just like we talked about with the Chargers, if the Broncos win out, they'll win the division, and I believe they'll have the number 1 seed coming out of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they still have a chance to bounce back there, and there's an outside chance the Jags could get the number 1 seed if Denver slips up and the Jags win out, and New England slips up at least once, I think. So, man, Jags stay hot. in this game.
Yep.
Let's go Atlanta Falcons 26, Arizona Cardinals 19. Falcons move to 6-9. Cardinals fall to 3-12. They haven't won in a while, have they?
They haven't won since they installed
Dallas?
Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. It's this fascinating dynamic.
No, they beat the Cowboys.
Since they named him the starter.
Oh, since they named him.
They have yet to win a game.
I see.
So we're in this fascinating situation where Brissett coming in has clearly like transformed the offense and made them much better, and yet they aren't winning because of it.
They got up early, though. Got up 10-0. Falcons chipped back away at
Crazy
it.
Michael Wilson catch.
That was incredible.
Doesn't catch it cleanly, but somehow it like stays up off the ground on the way down and like ends up landing between his legs, and he just grabs hold of it for a touchdown.
Beautiful touchdown by Michael Wilson.
Just like you draw it up.
But not much else after that for Arizona. Two-headed monster of Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson, each 16 carries. Algier had 79 yards. Bijan had 76. Never know when they're just going to start splitting carries.
Yeah.
With those two, but like Algier was running the ball hard. I do love him as a running back. I just love Bijan more, who also had 92 yards through the air, including the swing touchdown.
Bijan is just so aesthetically pleasing as a running back. Like
yes.
Everything he does is just so smooth, and he flows like nobody else running the football. It's amazing to watch. It just looks like he's operating at a different sort of speed to everybody else. Like, I'm trying to think. Like you sort of see, it's almost like the Matrix, where like I'm able to slow this down and make the cuts and the moves and the spins and the juke in a way that you can't process fast enough.
I don't think I've seen anybody run like him though, because he runs the wide zone like he's got a feel for it like an Arian Foster, who was not a great make you miss guy. It's kind of like Arian. Have we had this conversation before? But it's like Arian Foster and Percy Harvin all in one. It's like Harvin's cutting ability, but Foster's pure zone running ability rolled into one.
But it's just this fascinating ability to just, it feels like he's just operating at a different speed to other people. And it's like nothing he's doing it's just like doing the right thing at the right time all the way through it in a sort of sequence of 6 different moves. It's nuts. He now has, so it's the 5th game of the season where he has 150 or more scrimmage yards, which is the most of anybody this season. He just cleared 2,000 scrimmage yards, I think the Falcons put up as a tweet celebration deal. I mean, he is having this incredible season. It's still a little, it's not quite like you were waiting all last season, like where are these Saquon explosive 60-yard plays? It's still not quite like that, but it is insanely productive.
Anyway, what else on this one? Kyle Pitts, another touchdown in this one.
Yep.
On the shallow cross. Remember Timo? Old friend Timo from PFF had this wild scenario where everyone in the NFC South could finish 8-9.
Yeah.
And the Falcons have already been eliminated.
Yeah.
Still in play. Falcons they'd have to beat the Rams next week, and then the Saints. And Bucs would have to win out, and the Panthers would have to lose their next 2.
Other plays worth mentioning. Jake Matthews, they dialed up the tackle eligible play for him, and he drops it.
Got to catch that ball.
It's just a loss for all big men touchdown
the
fans
most
everywhere.
Consistent player in the NFL.
Yeah, not as a receiver, apparently.
No.
Marvin Harrison Jr. can't make a deep contested catch the way Michael Wilson can, apparently. Had a shot. A.J. Terrell maybe had a hand in there, but it looked like it went straight through Marvin Harrison Jr.'s hands in tight contested coverage in the end zone. It's like that's the play that he's not making all the time in his NFL career. Walter Nolan carted off with a pretty bad-looking knee injury, non-contact as well, I think. That sucks for him. Calais Campbell blocked a field goal, the 11th of his NFL career.
For Zennials.
I mean, you would expect it for a guy who's like 6'8" and huge, but still, 11 blocked field goals in an NFL career is pretty good.
He's no Danico Autry, but he's close.
He was saying, they said on the broadcast, it's like, sometimes he says he just visualizes blocking a field goal and then goes out there and blocks it. It's like, and the rest of the time?
Yeah.
Like, if you could do that.
Forgot to visualize this week.
Right. I can manifest a blocked field goal just by visualizing it before the game.
I wouldn't waste it on a 3-win season with the Cardinals, though. I would use it.
Well, also, if I
playoffs.
could do that, I would think about doing that every week.
Maybe.
Like if I can summon a blocked field goal just through the power of my mind,
what you should
maybe do that on a weekly basis.
Agree. And then the game-ending interception came from former first-rounder C.J. Henderson, who was playing his first defensive snaps since 2023.
Really?
He makes a diving interception. Last time we saw him was with the Panthers in 2023.
It's a golden age for guys coming off the couch.
It is. And
JPP was out there playing football again off a couple of years, sitting around doing nothing.
Unbelievable. So C.J. Henderson missed I don't know why he missed last season. Maybe he was hurt. I haven't followed every last bit of his career. Last time we saw him, though, was with the Panthers in 23. He played 3 special team snaps last week. First time playing defense since 23. Makes a diving play along the sideline. Great catch on a little miscommunication / misthrow there to seal the deal. C.J. Henderson, play of his career. Former first rounder. 9th overall pick to the Jags a few years back. That's the game. Falcons 6-9. I mentioned last night on the instant reaction too. I mean, Falcons would have to beat the Rams and a red-hot Saints team the next couple weeks maybe. But maybe to save Raheem Morris, our friend Zach, front office, Terry Fontenot. Interesting offseason here for the Falcons because it was disappointing. It's disappointing after some power moves the last couple years. You get Penix not playing up to potential and hurt. Maybe Kirk Cousins comes in, saves the season a little bit these last few weeks with some better play.
Well, he's at least putting a better gloss on it. Like, you know, the season's disappointing, and I don't think there's any way of really rescuing that, given how early they got eliminated from the playoffs, and the fact that the division is very winnable, even now, not for them, but other people,
for other teams with similar records.
Yeah, and it's like it's disappointing. Plus, this two-headed running back monster of Algier and Robinson, like Kyle Pitts looking great. There are reasons this team should be pretty good. And they weren't for too much of the season. But at least you can sort of put some gloss on it and feel better about yourselves and go, okay, like, we weren't crazy to think that we were a pretty good team coming into this. And, the young players, the edge rushers that they drafted, there are some players on defense that you should feel pretty good about. So there are reasons to project optimism, even if everything is going to come down to what is Michael Penix Jr. after this season, now coming back off a knee injury. But it's still a disappointing year for them.
Yes, just something to keep an eye on here last couple weeks. 3 more games to discuss. Pittsburgh Steelers, 29. Detroit Lions, 24. Steelers move to 9-6. Lions fall to 8-7. Steelers now a commanding lead in the AFC North. They can clinch the North with a win against the Cleveland Browns next week.
And Tomlin's streak is officially intact.
It is
19 straight seasons without a losing record, which is only the second longest streak in NFL history. Do you know that?
No.
Do you know who's longer?
Shula?
Nope.
I don't.
Somebody has a 21 streak non-losing season.
In the 40s?
No.
I don't know.
Give you one more guess.
I don't know. I'm not just...
Tom Landry had a 21 consecutive seasons without a losing record. Now,
Tomlin go for
he ended up, I think, with a losing record, so he doesn't have the Tomlin never had a losing record streak. But he had 21 straight seasons.
Unanswered. It's not unanswered. Wild game here, and an even wilder finish.
The finish is insane. There were two finishes this year, or 2 finishes this week where it's like I've never seen that. Or not 2 finishes, 2 things this week where it's like I've never seen that before.
It was a 12-10 game into the fourth quarter, and even to get to that point, just before the half, Aaron Rodgers heaves it up to Kenneth Gainwell, who makes a diving catch. The ball lands on his arm, rolls over, he's untouched, and then runs into the end zone.
Insane catch. So it would have been like pass interference anyway because Anzalone's all over him. But he dives, basically face plants in the turf, trying to force his way through the contact to show that it's pass interference.
But this is with 11 seconds left. If it was pass interference, fine. You're probably kicking a field goal. But because he's untouched on the ground, it becomes a touchdown.
But he's basically he's just trying to dive through the contact to win the penalty at this point, and then face plants on the turf. And then as he's lying on the ground with his arms outstretched, the ball lands on one of his arms, and he's able to bring it in without it touching the ground. And then, as you said, gets up and runs in. He realizes he's not touched and gets up and scores a touchdown off it. Ridiculous play.
Then in the third quarter, the Steelers completely dominate the third quarter, moving the ball left and right, but they fumble. Darnell Washington fumbles on the way in, but then they get a safety coming out of that. So Detroit picks up -3 yards on 3 plays in the entire third quarter, including the safety. So it's 12-10 going into the fourth. And then it just becomes a shootout. The Steelers go up 12, 22-10. It seems like it's done. Nope. Goff comes back to Khalif Raymond with a 4th and 2 touchdown to make it 22-17. And then the Steelers answer again with another Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren had 2 45-yard touchdown runs in the fourth quarter alone. The second one makes it 29-17. Goff comes back Another touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, 4-yard touchdown to make it 29-24. And then the Lions had one last shot to try for a touchdown for the win. And what happened at the end here?
They finally called a correct, arguably, offensive pass interference call, and that ended the game because there was no time left on the clock.
Yeah. So 2 plays earlier, you had the Lions on their game-winning drive. They moved on a couple penalties.
There were 3 touchdowns that were taken off the board because of offensive pass interference calls, only one of which I think was even arguably legit.
This was nuts. I mean, so Alex Highsmith gets called for a tripping penalty on Jared Goff. There's a defensive pass interference. The Lions are moving the ball on defensive penalties. They get to the 1-yard line. I think, was that on a penalty? Get to the 1. They hit Amon-Ra St. Brown for what looks like a go-ahead or at least potential game-winning touchdown. That gets negated from an offensive pass interference. The Steelers had one negated earlier on an offensive pass interference.
So I want to talk about the 3 separate offensive pass interference. Number 1, the Steelers run like a mesh play. Darnell Washington almost kills a guy because the guy runs into him. They're just running mesh, right? So Darnell Washington is running his little shallow cross. DJ Reed is coming from the other side trying to track the receiver. And DJ Reed, outweighed by about 150 pounds, runs into basically a bus. And there's a tweet that was out there. It's like, Darnell Washington is minorly inconvenienced while the guy that ran into him is lying like unconscious on the floor. Like DJ Reed just out like flat on his back, just destroyed on the floor, whereas Darnell Washington's just slightly annoyed by it. Point is, you're allowed to do that. Like it's not a penalty just because you're running your route across the middle. You have to be actively like trying to block a guy, and he's not. In my opinion, that's a perfectly legitimate play. It's what do the offense call them? The rub plays instead of a pick plays?
Oh, yeah, it's just a rub.
It's a rub. It's fine.
By the way, I would run more rub plays with Darnell Washington, with Darnell in particular.
Except I think this is like because of the
results.
The
downside.
Yeah, it's like because if somebody runs into Darnell Washington, they are getting destroyed. It's going to draw flags, even if it shouldn't. Like I honestly think it's a negative. It shouldn't be. But it's actually going to work in the opposite direction. Like people are going to like fly into him, go launching on the floor, and it's like, look at that pass interference. It's like he's just existing. This is like sizist. You can't. You're body shaming the man. What are we doing here? And then, fair. As you said, you get
not fair to 300-pounders like us.
They get another one later where one guy basically tries to jam Isaac Tesla and launches him into another defensive back who's trying to like run through his pathway. Like Tesla does nothing wrong on that play, and that
there
gets
have been
taken
some
off the board.
Weird offensive pass interference penalties this year.
Yeah, so that one. Like again, I think there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Again, Tesla is entitled to run a route, and the pathway that he takes on this play is largely determined by the guy trying to jam him inside. He does nothing wrong on that play. The corner tries to cut his way through Tesla and can't get there. That's literally the way the play is designed to go. It's legal. The last one, I think, is the one that's most easy to argue as offensive pass interference, which is Amon-Ra St. Brown runs up to the goal line, basically takes a little shove at Jalen Ramsey, turns around, gets the separation because of it, catches the ball. Jalen Ramsey does a great job of selling it. It's like full WWE, arms in the air. He throws. Look, if he doesn't do that, is it pass interference? Maybe not. But you can at least see, like, that's called 50% of the time. Maybe, if it hadn't been called, you would be calling for it. Maybe you would still argue that it's fine. That type of contact happens all over the place during the course of an NFL game, and a lot of times it's not called, but it's at least borderline enough that you're like, there's nothing wrong with the game getting called because of that.
So then that...
But at the end of that, so it's like he catches the ball, he's short of the goal line, time is ticking down, eventually he gets driven back like 5 yards, somehow offloads it to Jared Goff, who scoops the ball up, runs in, and scores what he thinks is a touchdown. And now, like, all the officials huddle together, and nobody has any idea what's happened on the play. It's like, did he score? Is he short? Is it a penalty? Or what the hell? Nobody's got any clue. So there's like there's multiple minutes of deliberation going on. And then the official comes on and gives the worst explanation for anything I've ever heard in my life, where he leads off with, the Lions have scored a touchdown. Building goes nuts. And he's like, but the game's over. It doesn't count.
However,
bye-bye.
There's also offensive pass interference on the play.
And, okay, when you break it down, it's the right call, which is there's offensive pass interference, and because the time had expired, that's it.
So there's not even a replay of the down.
Correct, because time's off. There's no time left to run another play, which would be the call in normal circumstances with offensive pass interference is, 10-yard penalty, do over. You can't do that because there's no time left on the clock in a game. Unlike the defensive side, the game can't play or can't end on a defensive penalty because you could just, deliberately get a penalty. It can end on an offensive penalty because presumably they're not going to want to take a penalty deliberately because they're trying to score. So it's the right rule. Now, where it gets interesting, I think, is you're like, okay, but why did we let the game keep running for 5 seconds while Amon-Ra has his forward progress quite clearly stopped on account of he's being driven back 5 yards?
That part of the play was, if you haven't seen the play, he's driven back
5 yards.
And I saw the point, like if Ramsey or someone grabbed him and threw him down, you're like, late hit.
Right.
And so he's being driven back, and he just flips it to
Right.
Goff, who runs it. It would have been that would have been even wilder than the Seahawks 2-point conversion play.
So it's a perfectly reasonable question to ask. Okay, but if they simply called forward progress like half a yard short of the goal line and left 4 seconds on the clock, what would happen now? The game would still be over because the clock would just run and you're not getting it done in 4 seconds, right? So either way, the game's done. So it is the correct call. It was just chaos and announced in a ridiculous way.
So a wild finish there. The game flow-wise, the backs for the Steelers. Jaylen Warren had the 2 45-yarders. Kenneth Gainwell had 50 yards on the ground. He was the leading receiver with 78 yards, including that 45-yard touchdown before the half. They did a great job, those dudes. Warren and Gainwell. Rodgers played another clean game. Third straight week, I thought he's looked good. Command, accuracy, beautiful back shoulder to DK Metcalf. And we'll talk about DK in just a second here. And then the Lions, against what the Steelers' run defense have been hit or miss this year. And I know they got first-rounder Derek Harmon back, but they could not get it going on the ground and then stop trying.
15 rushing yards in
Yes.
this game. Now, okay, their offensive line was banged up and got more banged up in the course of the game, but still feels like you might want to keep going on that.
They had 15 rushing yards and a 17-yarder from
Yes.
David Montgomery.
Right.
So on the other, you take away Goff's kneel down and you have like 10 carries for, nothing. So, or -2,
Yeah.
10 for -2 on the other carries. So, or negative, whatever it is. So, Goff has to throw the ball 54 times and, they're playing from behind and just one-sided for Detroit's offense in this one. Then you have DK Metcalf, who punched in a 10-minute span, punched a fan, and then came out, picked up an offensive pass interference of his own, and dropped a pass, all in 10 minutes.
Yeah, the punch. So the second angle, I'm backing off from punching. It feels more.
You think
like,
he just pushed the blue hair?
We sort of grabbed hold of him and then did the whole push, slap. I don't know what the term for that is, but it's not a punch.
What is it, like a 6-inch punch? What's the term for that?
Yeah, the Bruce Lee thing.
That's
no,
what
it's not that.
It looked more like that.
It's like he grabs hold of him aggressively and then sort of shoves him away like that. I don't know what that is as a term, but it's not a punch. I've since backed away from this take a little bit. My general thing is people get very sanctimonious when it comes to athletes attacking fans, It's like, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever seen, blah, blah, blah. There's a clip out there of Eric Cantona, which is my favorite one ever, where he just launched himself with like a drop kick 10 feet into the front row of stands way back in the day. And the guy commentating, called Jonathan Pierce, is kind of a jackass. But his commentary is some of the most sanctimonious stuff you've ever heard in your life. He's like, I have never in all my days seen something as like this. It's ridiculous, right? It's like, look, and then there's the Ron Artest stuff, the Malice in the Palace. And look, I think we have normalized too far this idea of you stand there as a professional athlete and part of your job is just take abuse from people, verbal abuse from people in the crowd. I don't think that's right. I don't think we should accept that. And I think at some point you should accept that you might cross a line, right?
How is my muted iPad ringing?
I don't know. I believe that there is a verbal line over which people can stray. And if you stray over that line, you should reasonably expect to be punched in the face. Now, where that line is debatable, and it's going to be different for every person. But I do believe there are things that people can say to anybody which are egregious enough that if they say that, I have no problem with that guy punching them. Is that legally okay? Probably not. But I think it's natural justice, right? Now, I don't know if this crossed that line. And certainly if the reports are accurate that the guy who got shoved, pushed, grabbed, whatever, he claims that he only said DK's like full name or something. That sounds fairly implausible to me, but if that's true, obviously that's not where the line is. But my point is I'm willing to entertain an argument that says there are things somebody can say to you that should result in getting slapped. And I'm okay with that as an idea. I think the guy that hurled abuse at Eric Cantona probably crossed that line, and he took a drop kick to the face for it, and I'm okay with that. I don't know what the guy said to Ron Artest to make him snap and go nuts and launch himself into the crowd, but maybe that was over that line, and I'm okay with that. I'm also okay with that resulting in a suspension and stuff, right? Like, yeah, you crossed the line by going to attack the guy that started to hurl abuse at you, but the guy probably had it coming. I think those things can coexist at the same time. DK's mistake was going over to the guy in the first place. Like, all right, some jackass is yelling things at you.
How does he just, in the middle of the game, wander over behind the end zone?
Yes. Some guy in the crowd is yelling stuff at you in the game. Don't go over to him. There's probably no good way that ends at that point. But I'm at least willing to entertain the argument that there is something that guy could have said to DK in that situation that deserved what happened to him.
Maybe he said, Big Goofy.
Maybe. Now, to me, Big Goofy wouldn't be over that line. If somebody, like if I was there, if I was an innocent bystander, an impartial observer, if you will, and I saw somebody yell Big Goofy at you, and you walked over to them and punched them in the head, I would say that's a disproportionate response to the words that were used. But if that guy had uttered certain other things that I deemed over that line, I would say, yeah, that's okay. He had it coming, and Big Goofy eventually had his line, and you crossed it.
I do get your point.
By the way, I'm in the minority on this, clearly.
You are in the
my mentions, but I'm okay with that.
I also think, and it's not because, they're paid, like I was paid hundreds of dollars. And,
I hate that argument, though, by the way.
I know, just because
he's a millionaire, he's rich. It's like, so? Why does that mean? Show me in the contract where it says you should stand there and be hurled and have to take any verbal abuse that comes your way.
I'm a little torn on it because I get people can absolutely cross the line and say ridiculous things. But I do think as an athlete, you should put yourself in the headspace that, like, I'm in the arena.
Yeah.
They're outside the arena.
Which is why, in my opinion,
they have some level of they paid the ticket, sure. Doesn't mean they could, say absurd, ridiculous things.
That's why.
But you could still be above board and just be like, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like being online. I see people compare it to like being online where the person behind the keyboard.
That's also something that's been normalized that shouldn't be acceptable either.
But you also can choose to ignore it.
Yes, that's why I'm saying his mistake was going over there. At the point where you're over there, you're now susceptible to the wrong thing triggering you and your instinctive reaction, which is why my opinion is this is natural justice, right? If your instinctive reaction is to punch somebody off the back of what he said, the thing he said was probably pretty bad, right? So the point where you go over to him, you're now vulnerable to that, and that's your own fault. You put yourself in that situation, right? So that, I think, I have no problem with that. You want to suspend DK and say you can't do that, fine. His mistake was going over there and engaging in the first place. But I think there's way too much pearl clutching about this idea that there's nothing somebody can say that should result in that reaction. There definitely is. There 100% is. Look on social media. There's 100% stuff that somebody can say to you that should absolutely enrage you to that point.
And apparently, the guy with the blue wig said all he'd said was DK's full name.
Right. Now, that's not one of those things that should enrage you to that point.
Nor is Big Goofy.
Agreed.
Nor is calling me Oates from Hall & Oates.
And I don't want to.
That's worth.
Like, I don't want to. Like people are like, it's hard to make that argument as a hypothetical without, here's a thing specifically that could, but like clearly, like if somebody's, like there have been ones before where it's like, oh, this is because this goes the other way as well. Like this is the ridiculous culture we're in where you're either one side of the pole or opposite of the other. Every now and again, a story will come up where it's like this fan said something abhorrent about this guy's like kid that died of cancer last year or something. And everyone goes, oh, that guy should be banned from the stadium for life. And it's like, okay, but how do you know that didn't happen to DK right now? You know what I mean? Like you don't know what's really said, right? The point is clearly there's something that can be said.
What happened? Didn't Lamar do this to the Bills? Didn't he have an altercation with a fan
I don't remember.
against the Bills earlier this year?
Maybe
It wasn't a punch, like a push or something like that.
Yeah. So sort of, yeah. Again, similar thing, right? He kind of slapped out at him.
But again, I can't remember what initiated that. Like,
right.
If he was close to the wall, because that's the other thing.
I think they were filing out past that wall.
Because if you're like over if a fan's reaching into the arena, right, into the workspace, that's different. That's what I'm saying. Like that's like if they're intruding on the workspace, that's different versus you going over there. Like DK apparently went over there.
Yeah.
So all I know is if that's classified as a punch, and if DK is somewhat initiating that, I think that's worse than a spit to the face of a fellow player. And I think we might be.
Wait, you think what's worse?
Punching a fan.
Okay.
If that's a punch of a fan, that is, however it's prompted, even if it is justified in your world, it is probably worse than a 1-game suspension.
So I think,
by the way, he wasn't thrown out of the game because the in-game officials didn't see it.
Right.
Can New York, after the fact, because New York can come in on a play and say, Sam threw a punch. You guys missed it, but Sam threw a punch. He's out. Throw him out of the game. Apparently, they can't go in and say, hey, 3 plays ago,
I don't know if
DK
they can.
Metcalf punched a fan. You guys should throw him out of the game because that obviously didn't happen.
I don't know if they can't or they didn't want to do anything before they found out what happened. And by what happened, I mean what he said. Because I genuinely think that changes exactly what your approach is to the whole thing. Like if again, this is all hypothetical. Nobody knows what the guy said. And the guy claims he only said his name. If that happened, clearly it was an overreaction and whatever. But if it wasn't, like if this guy actually said something that would fall into the category of like, ban him for life, right? Well, then you're probably going to approach differently the way the DK punishment comes down. Like in my opinion, the hierarchy of which things are worse would be spitting and crossing a certain verbal line are both 1 and 1A in terms of each one of those things. If either one of those things happens to you, your instinctive reaction is to punch the guy, and I think that's fine. And remember the spitting thing earlier, Mike Tomlin was like, if somebody spits in you, do what comes naturally to you.
But
which was basically a tacit endorsement of he did exactly that. He punched the guy, and I'm okay with that. Right?
I'm going to say the opposite, because if that guy truly did not cross the line and he got punched as a paying fan, that's worth multiple games.
Agreed. So in my opinion, the hierarchy is those two things are equal in terms of the worst thing, and then punching a guy who crossed one of those lines is lower. If the guy did not cross one of those lines, then punching is worse. So punching is either 1 or
you were finishing your hierarchy,
4, or 3 rather in this list, right? It's either the worst of the group or it's less bad than the other ones that should result in you getting punched.
Ultimately, just sit it and ignore it if you can.
I mean, look, again, don't go over there, right? You put yourself in this situation where you could be vulnerable to whatever the guy's saying.
He needs his own get-back coach.
But I think we need to, like, I don't know how many people have, maybe we're just too removed from this kind of thing in our own insular little world where we just operate in a bubble. But, like, I don't know what's wrong with other people. Maybe I'm just a psychotically violent human at heart. But, I mean, I don't know. I can't relate to somebody where you're like, there's literally nothing you could say to me that would not enrage me to the point where my instinct is to reach out and slap you in the head if we were 5 feet away. I can't relate to that. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I just have way too much psycho in my system. But, that's crazy to me.
I'm saying, like, you're in the arena, you're outside the arena, but it is a strange world where, like, a little bit of a barrier changes
your entire approach to, decorum, right?
Because the same guy on the street would not be
100%.
Would not be screaming stuff at DK.
Correct.
If he was.
And that's where I think there's a real thing. This is the same with social media where, like, the anonymity, the detachment enables people to hurl whatever form of abuse they want at people. And I think society has normalized that. And I'm kind of disgusted by it. I think it's too much. Like, that shouldn't be baked into the system. Oh, you choose to be, a popular figure. You've got to take that. Why? Why have we decided that that's part of the gig? Why? No.
It's different from, like, old school wrestling where that was their gig, was to get, because, like, old school wrestling.
Well, they tried to generate
in, like, the 70s and 80s, like, the heels would get the fans so riled up that they would hurl abuse and sometimes attack them. And they were like, well, this is my job. So you don't fight back unless they enter the arena.
They cross the line.
Once they enter but not words.
Yeah.
Because that's your job. You're an actor. Anyway, Steelers full control of the AFC North. We might have a useless game against the Ravens.
By the way, last thing, somebody
18.
in the chat's like, if the guy sees DK in the street, does say mean things to him, then DK still can't assault him. And that's true, but that's why I'm saying there's a difference between natural justice and legal. Like, he would be presumably charged for assault for punching the guy in the street. But if pretty much everybody that read the story and, heard why he'd punched the guy in the street would be like, yeah, okay, I get it. That's my argument. It's like, yeah, suspend DK all you want for crossing the line and, doing whatever he did to the fan, punch, push, shove, whatever you want to call that thing. But I think there's absolutely a chance that what that guy said to him deserved it.
All right. Spent a lot of time on that, but here we are. Steelers can win the division with either a Ravens loss. They might have it sealed up by Sunday as the Ravens play the Packers.
Can they? Isn't it still alive if oh, no, because they lost last night. Yeah, no,
yeah.
Carry on.
So if the Ravens lose Saturday night to the Packers, or if the Steelers win on Sunday, they have the division at 9-6 with a non-losing season, even a winning season. Houston Texans 23-21 over the Raiders, a lot closer than we expected.
Yeah,
maybe we should have spent more time just not talking about Rap Sheet and his agent sources.
People were mad.
Most life the Raiders have shown.
Yeah.
In about a month, you've got once every couple months, we're like, oh, this is the feisty Raiders team we anticipated, right? That they might lose the game, but you'd see Ashton Genty with a 51-yard run and a 60-yard reception. Geno Smith with some nice throws after coming off of a pick six to start the game, and the defense played decent, kept them in it for a while. But Houston, they fought back, they pulled off the win, even though it wasn't as dominant as you would hope to expect. And I thought it was a huge 3rd and 8.
Yeah.
Big time throw from C.J. Stroud to Nico Collins to seal it for the Texans.
And big credit for the Raiders for doing, their improved performance against the defense like Houston's, which has been destroying people. And with with some bad plays in there as well. Like Derek Stingley has a pick six is a big part of it. But yeah, this was one of their best performances of the year, certainly on that side of the ball, against arguably the best defense they've played this year.
I wanted to highlight that final throw by Stroud to Nico Collins. As we're talking about all of these AFC quarterbacks who can go on a run and do these things, Stroud's been up and down the last 2 years, really. But you've seen his high end is pretty good. And there's many of these throws, just like I think Bryce Young's got these like signature fourth quarter comebacks and everything. I think Stroud has these signature 3rd and long championship caliber throws. And that's what that was to Nico Collins and catch along the sideline. So even though it's the Raiders and you were supposed to win and everything, had to make that play on 3rd and 8. So I'm calling that a championship level throw and catch from C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins. This also shows even the best defenses in the NFL, and I think we've all agreed the Texans are.
Yep.
The Seahawks are close. They got gashed Thursday night. The Broncos, I'm talking, they're a little leaky in recent weeks. The Texans giving up these big plays to Genty and this bad Raiders offense. Like, it's tough to be consistently week in, week out good. That's why the 2000 Ravens and the 85 Bears are still discussed as they did. Because even though the 2000 Ravens did get gashed
for like 296 yards
by the Jags and Jimmy Smith and Mark Brunell, after that, they gave up almost nothing. They were almost perfect after that Jags game in week 2. It is very tough to just have a dominant defense for now 18 straight weeks.
Yeah, I genuinely think I'm not sure it's possible to have that type of defense anymore. I just think the game it's changed too much that I don't think it's possible to just shut down everything every single week all the way through a game. Even the best defenses in the NFL, they're either going to have a rough game or they're going to have a game where even within the game they just give up a couple plays. And NFL offenses are so explosive now that if you blip once, it's a touchdown. Like, it's a big play. So yeah, it's an elite level defense, Houston, and yet even then you can still give up a couple plays to Ashton Genty because Ashton Genty is still really good, even though his season has been disappointing because everything around him is pretty terrible.
So Texans win again, man. They're 10-5 now, in the playoff picture, obviously. Still have a chance to win the division, overtake the Jags, and they're just very much in the mix with this great defense, despite a couple big plays there. It was Genty's touchdown run nowhere to go,
Yeah.
breaks outside, and then, man, when he's in the open field, you just see how difficult he is to tackle.
And he
showed a lot more of that.
Even the
game.
touchdown catch. It's
Yeah.
like he's a lot of guy to beat. Like
Yeah.
he caught the ball, and you're like, all right, that's a big play, and then he busts through a tackle. And that guy is very difficult to stop one-on-one.
He has a really high percentage of tacklers just coming at angles that just
Fall off him. Yeah.
fall completely off of him. Plus, he runs dudes over and everything too. But having the explosives in there, like that touchdown run reminded me a little bit of Saquon, where it's like remember last year I said if you blow one gap against Saquon, he's taking it to the house. That's what that Genty run felt like, and he's not that type of explosive runner, but he had been missing on some of those plays this year, where it's like, all right, you blow a gap, boom, I'm gone. And there weren't many this year for the Raiders run game, but that type of explosiveness for the Raiders offense. You mentioned last night, nice 37-yarder to Jack Besh in there.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Bowers with a touchdown. Again, they should have been much more competitive, at least I would say on the offensive side. Like, I get that their defense is lacking talent again, but the offense should have been much better this year. And Geno Smith bounced back from that early pick six and got the ball to their playmakers a little bit, and they gave it a game.
You mentioned to me that Nick Chubb were on like a 5-second 40. Him getting run down by Max Crosby in the open field didn't look great.
He had a 30-yard run, which was impressive to get to the open field. And then the open field was like, man, he used to...
When he was run down by Max Crosby.
I used to compare Chubb and Barkley because Chubb would have similar explosives like Saquon Barkley, even though he's not necessarily supposed to be as fast. But Chubb was just like a better up to 10 yards runner. So Chubb was like best of both worlds, right? Maximized what was there and then could take it to the house. And it was a little sad seeing him in the open field and getting tracked down by Max Crosby.
Yeah.
But he's still good he's okay up to 10 yards. You could clearly see he's lost steps.
Huge congrats to future comeback player of the year, Devin White, who had another 11 solo tackles.
Oh, yeah, that's 11 tackles for...
Or no, 11 total tackles, only 7 solo.
Pass breakup.
But still, that's just adding to his statistical case.
That was the story of the game.
Certainly for some agents.
I think it's worth another tweet for him. But yeah, credit the Texans surviving, getting the win, moving on. They get the Chargers next week on Saturday. And then is Jags last week? Is that right? Or they're done with the Jags? What did I get here? Colts, sorry, last week. Oh, yeah, Old Man Rivers. A huge game against the Chargers, though.
OMR.
Huge game against the Chargers. It's going to be fun. A couple good defenses. Big challenge here for Houston in their 7th straight win here. See if they can keep it going against the Chargers Saturday afternoon. Anything else on this one? Championship throw, Stroud to Nico Collins. That's what I'm calling it. Sunday Night Football. New England Patriots 28, Baltimore Ravens 24. Patriots move to 12-3. Ravens fall to 7-8. The Patriots erased an 11-point deficit in the fourth quarter. Looked like the Ravens had sealed it. Derrick Henry with a 2-yard touchdown to make it 24-13. Patriots come back. Drake May to Kyle Williams, 37-yard touchdown. They get the 2-point conversion to make it 24-21. And then Ramondre Stevenson, 21-yard touchdown for the game winner to give New England the win in a game in which Lamar Jackson got hurt just before halftime with a back injury and never returned to the game.
Yeah, with a kind of ridiculous play. Like he ran like a QB keeper and specifically went to ground early to avoid taking a hit and somehow still took a shot to the back area, like just a knee coming in from a guy jumping on top of him. Somehow found the perfect spot between the pads, the back shield, the rib protector. Just found the weakness, like a an old suit of armor. You just aim for the joints, right? Somehow found the joint in all the protection that ended up doing something to his back and made him hobble off, and he never came back. Like, ridiculous way of going down.
How many injuries has Lamar Jackson had this year?
Quite a lot.
Because he missed actual game. What was the actual game time he missed?
With the hamstring?
Oh, with the hamstring.
Which they're
he's
still
had a knee
claiming he's dealing with.
He's had a knee, an ankle.
Yeah.
This back. He had illness this week too. There's like an annual illness. I mean, I was ill this week as well. I mean, I missed a show with illness. I get it. I'm just saying a lot of things adding up here. I was back by Thursday though. I was off the injury report within a day.
You did miss a game though, so
I did miss a game, a show.
Yeah.
I mean, so would he if he had to play on Wednesday.
Maybe.
I don't.
Maybe
If I had to play once a week,
maybe he would have fought through it.
I'd show up. Anyway, the injury-prone label for like Joe Burrow pops up every couple of years. It's popping up again for Lamar, right? He had a couple injury-prone years. He had back-to-back injury years.
Well, this is just
back-to-back healthy years.
Yeah, like it's one thing,
but he's had 4 different injuries this year that have cost him time.
Right.
Like Herbert has multiple injuries in years, and he often plays through these things. These are costing Lamar time now.
This was a really frustrating one, though, because it's like, you talk all the time about how quarterbacks kind of control the hits that they take. I mean, this was one where he did the right thing in those terms. He tried to go to the ground without taking a shot, and somehow the guy just sort of coming, like innocuous-looking hit. The guy coming in just like glancing and just somehow like a sniper found with his knee, the one area in all of Lamar's suit of armor that he carries that found his way to his back to injure him. It's an utterly freak, ridiculous injury. And yet, unfortunately, because this guy has this injury history and it's stacking up, it's just one more to the pile. But it's such a unfortunate way of going down.
So I don't know what the future, I don't know what this means.
Right.
With the Ravens in a must-win game coming up on Saturday. Tyler Huntley came in, played pretty well overall because he does that often. Some wild plays in this one. A fake punt on 4th and 10.
What the hell was that call?
I don't know. Desperation.
It
didn't end up costing the Patriots, but it did. But it did.
It was desperation, except they didn't need to do it at all. Like, it was I cannot understand why you would call that. Number one, it's 4th and 10, which is, quite a way to go. Number two, nothing in the game script would dictate you need to steal a possession here. Number three, your quarterback just got hurt and is being looked at. Even if best case scenario, your crazy ass call works, you've got to drag him away from the trainer and send him right back out there. It's genuinely like somebody pressed the wrong button on the controller.
Was it a read from Mapu?
I don't know. I cannot understand why you would call that. And then if it was a read, the Ravens covered it, and Mapu has to pull the ball down. Like, they wanted to throw it, but the guy peeled off and actually covered the guy that he wanted to throw to. So he then just had to eat it and then ends up fumbling it at the end of running it for a couple of yards anyway. I mean, once you've got to eat it, it's dead because you've got to get 10 yards. So the play, that's crazy to have called that. So, yeah, what you're saying is the only logical explanation I can think of.
Every time there's a bad...
The guy had license to just call it himself.
That's my excuse. Every time there's a bad fake punt call, I'm like, it's going to be a read. He probably a read.
I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense. Otherwise, this is one of the most insane play calls of the year.
And then, as a rugby expert, offload expert.
There you go. You're learning.
What'd you think of Mark Andrews' attempt just before the half?
I think the idea in its earliest stage was sound. His execution and when he decided the idea was workable was crazy.
Like on your way to the ground?
Correct. That
Probably
was so,
shouldn't.
as you say, right, the offload. This was a case where the offload, you don't even want to offload this one. This is one just pass. Don't take the contact. Pass before contact. This was one where offloading in the tackle was a bad idea. This was like, remember Josh Allen's first playoff game against the Texans?
Oh, yeah.
Where like upside down, backwards, out of the back of his arm like this, he tried to lateral to a tight end. You're like, your idea is, the nebulous part of this, like there's a guy to my outside who's in space. Maybe I could lateral the ball to him. That is sound, right? When you decided that was appropriate to do, not good at all.
So that was an interesting play. Anyway, Baltimore, with all that happened, they're sitting there up 24-13, and then Drake May and the offense come alive again. They were unable to run the ball or weren't running the ball often, and it was a heavy drop back game flow for New England. Another dime to Kyle Williams, who just only seems to catch deep passes.
What a pass that was.
Yes.
That was into a bucket. And if it's 6 inches further left, Marlon Humphrey gets a hand in it, and it's probably incomplete. Like, it wasn't just perfect vertically for the distance. He actually put it far enough outside that Humphrey could not get back and get a piece of it. That was an incredible throw by Drake May.
So that was just an absolute dot in the fourth quarter. They get the 2-point conversion, get within 3. And then when New England gets the ball back. Again, May hits Mac Hollins down the field, just making big throws when he needs to. Stephon Diggs on fourth down.
Diggs was incredible in this game.
He finishes with 9 catches on 10 targets for $138, including big ones in crunch time, including a fourth down.
And every variety. Tough catches, run off the catch stuff, just routing people up with his releases. Like, absolute clinic by Stephon Diggs in this game.
Huge plays in this one. And then New England's in field goal range. So it's an interesting spot, right? You're up, you're down 3, potential field goal. By the way, leading up to that, there was a no call on a pass interference. Drake May throws it about 50 yards to Kayshon Boutte. The ball's up there forever. It's not even a good throw. It's just a straight-up jump ball down the field.
Yep.
Marlon Humphrey tackles Kayshon Boutte, who still almost makes the catch.
Literally tackles him.
And I feel like the refs were trying to figure out because the ball landed on him.
He did
and then
make
it
the
bobbled.
catch. Yeah, he made the catch on the way down, and then when he hit the ground, the ball bounced out. And then as it's in the air, having bounced off his grasp, Humphrey bats it away. But it would have been one where he caught the ball and then the ground forced the incompletion. But when the ground forced the incompletion, Humphrey finished it off. And then they're just like,
and we're all watching.
Done.
Tirico, the ball's in the air, and Tirico's calling the pass interference. It's like he's all over him. And Humphrey's tackling Boutte. And then it was almost like the refs were trying to figure out the catch so much that they forgot, oh, by the way, he got tackled.
It was like the Anzalone-Gainwell play where you're like, it doesn't really matter whether he caught it or not, it's pass interference. Okay, the touchdown part was different. But, it's like, whatever, it's pass interference. The question is just, did he catch it or not? Whereas here, it's like the same thing, only they didn't call it. They're just like, apparently you can just tackle a dude at the catch point now, before the ball arrives, well before the ball arrives.
That was one of those plays where it's like, man, it would have immediately put the Patriots in field goal range, down 3. And it, could have been a huge game decider. And then they end up still driving down the field, converting a big fourth down and making some big plays. Ramondre Stevenson breaks out open for the 21-yarder, as I said, and rest was history there.
And Henderson had gone down with a concussion in the game, so they were leaning on Ramondre. Drake May, he made a couple of mistakes in this game, particularly early. He was leaving. There was some bad ball location plays.
One actual interception. He almost got picked off on that final drive as well.
So there were some rough plays in there, but there were definitely so many good plays. And the Patriots' offensive line is really banged up. They were down tackles. Obviously, Will Campbell's been out for a while. This is one where the offensive line's given up a fair chunk of pressure. And he's still out there, and he's made some mistakes, and yet some of the passes were ridiculous. There was one they highlighted on the broadcast, just a simple out route where the corner knows it's coming. He plays it, and he breaks on the ball before Diggs does. And they credited Diggs for making the play anyway, but that throw beats him. The throw is perfect. Anywhere inside, that throw is picked off, and it's probably going back for 6. And instead, it's a perfect throw. The one we already talked about to Kyle Williams, he came back and made some huge plays in this game.
And I thought Chris highlighted it on the broadcast pretty well too, because early on, there's been a couple of these games where May is he starts a little slow. I think the Bucs game started slow, missed some throws, and this one maybe sped up a little bit by some of the blitz looks. But you can almost see them figuring it out and seeing the comfort level improve. There were definitely some forces in there and misreads, but as you mentioned, some pinpoint throws, and I think just being able to battle back from adversity. Right, it's not all just going to be perfect all the way through. And for New England, who hasn't faced a lot of adversity this year, that was important as well.
I do think this was quite an important comeback. If they had lost this game, which it looked like they were going to for a pretty significant chunk of it, all of a sudden you would be saying this New England schedule is a cakewalk and a kind of a joke. And we were the only 2 tests they're going to have in the second half of the season are against Buffalo and Baltimore. And if they ended up losing both those games, you're that's not a great sign for this team going into the playoffs. Sure, your record might be great, but the only 2 half-decent teams you played down the stretch, you lost to both of them. So I do think it was kind of important for them, at least even just psychologically, to come back this time and get this game won. This ends up being the first time in his career that Drake May tops 300 yards.
Yes.
It's kind of wild. He's in this MVP candidate case year, and this is the first time he's hit 300.
Yeah, and it had been kind of low-volume passing attack, right? He doesn't have to throw more than 30, 35 times in a lot of games this year. But he's also been, remember, he had the completion percentage record where he's over 70 or whatever every single game. So it's been very efficient. But this is really the first time the game script has gotten away from them. He's had to throw the ball like crazy. He goes 31 of 44 for 380, and had to put a lot on his shoulders when it comes to the pass game, and plus scrambling. Right, he had a bunch of carries in there as well. And I thought they did a nice job with that. By the way, the game sealing play was Kayvon Chason tracking down Zay Flowers from behind. Zay trying to make a move.
He's made some pretty big plays for them, Chason, this year.
The last 2 years, really, with the Raiders last year, had a bit of a breakout season, and Chason's made some plays this year. For New England, Zay Flowers, I think he's got, did I say, more fumbles than touchdown receptions this year.
Really?
But he's also been very good, right? It's been another interesting year for Zay Flowers, who I think is good overall. Had the 18-yard touchdown run as well, but it's a key fumble just like he had in the AFC Championship 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was one other thing I wanted to add here, I think. But for New England, 12-3, they're the number 2 seed right now, still a path to the 1. They're rooting for Denver to lose at least one of their games, and New England has the Jets in Miami over the next 2 weeks, so certainly 2 winnable games, and they officially clinched a playoff spot.
Yep.
Return to the playoffs for the Patriots.
After a long drought.
We'll keep an eye on Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry had an early fumble, but he goes 18 for 128 and 2 touchdowns, and you have another question for John Harbaugh. Why is Derrick Henry not running the ball when you're up 2 scores in the fourth quarter? They did not give him a touch.
That's crazy.
Down the stretch. I don't understand how that happens.
Particularly given that it did feel like the second half with Lamar ruled out. It was like the third quarter was all Derrick Henry, and it was working. It's like this is.
He said, "Hey, we're rotating them." Like,
finally,
is he afraid of the fumbles?
Yeah, it's like finally we're going back to this whole, hey, Derrick Henry, just keep pounding him, and in the fourth quarter we're going to get the results of that, and then they didn't.
And then the other piece here is it's another fourth quarter 10-point blown lead from the Baltimore Ravens, and I know Lamar's not in there, and I know that the Ravens have more fourth quarter 10-point leads than any other team. Therefore, you're more likely to blow those leads. But it's starting to.
It's got a remarkable record, though.
It is. It's starting to pop up a bit more here. And then for New England, working the other way. I think it was the first fourth quarter comeback for Drake May as well, if I read that correctly. So for New England, though, it's like ticking some of those boxes, right? Beating a competitive team, even if the Ravens are down, making the fourth quarter comeback, and bouncing back from Buffalo, right? Bouncing back from a very disappointing second half last week against the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is that it? Do we hit all the games?
Yep.
Yeah, no more use for that game.
No.
Presents.
Christmas time.
It's we're dressed for Christmas, so we've got our little gift exchange here.
Otherwise, we'd just be like.
Shout out to everybody again. I wore the elf thing to the mall the other day. Thanks to everybody for the charity drive. That video and some footage.
Yeah.
Will be coming.
There'll be a standalone video at some point soon that we'll put up on the YouTube channel. So check that out, and you can see Steve wandering around a mall like Elf.
So here you go.
I'm kind of annoyed that you didn't.
Oh, there I am.
If you'd actually sat on Santa's lap, 3 bills might have stressed the old man.
I went up to Santa and I said, "So what do we do?
Yeah.
So how do you do this?"
He was
"Well,
like,
you could sit right here
on the arm of the chair rather than my leg."
You could sit right here.
All right, what are we doing? Who's
You asked
first?
if I lost a bet. Here, you could go.
Oh, me?
Here, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Now it's not breakable on the basis that you already dropped it. So
did I drop that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not breakable.
Either that or it is breakable and it's broken.
I wrapped it myself.
Nice.
Last night while watching Sunday Night Football. I had to open it before to make sure it was all.
Yeah, let's check it out. Make sure.
It was all in there. It's kind of a weird box.
Uh-oh.
Sam is, if you're listening in podcast land, Sam is opening a Christmas present that I got for him.
It's bad television.
Yeah, it is. He's
Got it.
grabbing the tape
All right, what we got?
on this poster-looking
Oh, my God. Oh, there's
situation.
more.
There's 3 pieces of tape, so don't rip it. Don't rip it.
Who tapes up a poster with 3 separate bits of tape?
I don't know. Whoever sent it to me.
Ah, it's the disgusting act.
Speaking of disgusting
Where are we?
acts,
Oh. It's the Randy Moss mooning the fans in Green Bay back in '04, which Joe Buck referred to as a disgusting act at the time.
Joe was disgusted.
And one of the most egregious, again, sanctimonious.
Now, I figure you can either find a nice place at home for that, or maybe it's studio art.
I think that's a good studio art piece.
Yeah. I was thinking, you like Randy Moss, you like art, let's make it happen.
I like that.
Randy Moss mooning piece of art here.
A nice tribute
Maybe for
to
this-
Hall of Famer.
That'd be good over your shoulder over there.
Yeah. Hall of Famer Joe Buck.
I love it.
I like it. That's good. All right, here's the. Man,
I was excited for that. You're always thoughtful with these things, as I said. I don't know. Let's see what we have here.
I've taken matters into my own hands because we weren't getting it done otherwise. So, you got to undo the bow. It's going to take some time.
Jeez, just rip it.
I mean, it was the simple bow. You just have to pull the thing. How are you
was
screwing
it?
this up?
Oh, I've knotted it.
Good.
I made
Excellent.
it way worse. So during my mid-wedding,
Uh-huh.
Our pastor or whatever says, like, give me the rings or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And he grabs the rings and he goes, oh, they're knotted together. So Kelly had to, like, very finely, mid-wedding, like, undo the knot for the rings. It was great under pressure.
Right, much like you're doing now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talking through.
There we go.
This is great. This is great. I am an official press reporter
Yeah, now hopefully we've got it on the screen.
for the
There you go.
Cincinnati Bugler. This is great.
Uh-huh.
This is going to get me in anywhere. This is like a free pass. This is incredible.
Yeah.
That was good. Thoughtful.
Look, I was tired waiting for PJ, so I decided to
I
create our
assume
own.
you made one for yourself too.
I didn't. I already
You
made
did
yours.
it? Oh, you did?
No.
Oh, we should wear this everywhere we go. Legit, we should wear this at the Senior Bowl and
And you were a designated news hound.
designated. I look so old.
Uh-huh.
They made us look so old in those pictures. It's only good for you had to put a year on there, huh? It's only good for one.
I mean, look, I just followed a template. I just put in
that's
stuff
great.
that
I love that. Thank you.
I'm not that creative.
was
I'm
good.
just like, there's already a template here. I'm just going to put in stuff.
Good thoughtfulness behind that. So I'm an official Bugler news reporter. Mm-hmm. Thanks to you.
Yep. Happy
Well, that's
Christmas.
it. Well, Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to everybody. Schedule-wise this week, we're TBD for maybe Wednesday. We'll preview the 3 Christmas Day games.
The closer we get to that, the less enthused I am by it. but
Less and less
it's possible.
likely. The plan will really be, though, we will not be here Christmas morning.
Correct.
Be with the kids. And Friday morning, though, will be the preview.
Expect to hear from us next on Friday.
Yeah.
And if we show up on a Wednesday,
It'd be a surprise.
you're there.
It could be like an instant reaction.
Right.
But Friday will be our Week 17 preview show. And then, so you might just not get a preview of the Christmas Day games. And you'll be okay with that. You'll be okay. And then we'll recap all of it a week from today at Monday, 7 a.m., as we always do. Instant reaction, the whole thing on Sunday. Sound good?
Yep.
All right. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We'll see you again on Friday with more Check the Mic.